3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on into a Friday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course, always streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZachGelb. Bill Reiter, Reiter than you, right here on the Infinity Sports Network from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time on many of these same stations, is going to stop by in studio at 3:20 p.m. Eastern time. We'll probably do 2 segments with Bill on the NBA postseason, also some maybe early storylines as we get cooking for the offseason too, which is always the filet mignon for the NBA. It really goes NBA offseason, NBA postseason, then all the way at the bottom, the regular season. And that's just not my opinion. Even the players feel that way as well, if you just see the lack of effort at times during the NBA regular season. So we'll chat it up with Bill Reiter coming up 19 minutes from now in studio. I got to start with a little football news. So last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, the draft invitees came out, the list of the people that are going to be attending the NFL draft, the players that will be there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, at legendary Lambeau Field, right in that area. And when that list did come out, there were 3 quarterbacks on it. It was Cam Ward, it was Jackson Dart, and it was Jalen Milroe. And the reaction, I don't even quite frankly remember Jackson Dart, if I'm going to be fair. I do not remember Jackson Dart being on this list, but he was. And I think that goes with the assumption, since it didn't make major news and it wasn't like a big story that, oh, Jackson Dart's going to the draft, and that wasn't the takeaway. The assumption has been that Jackson Dart at some point is going to go in the first round. Now, the earliest I've heard of him going from anyone that talked about it and speculated about it is Todd McShay saying the Saints at 9 make a ton of sense for Jackson Dart. So no Shedeur Sanders on that list. I don't necessarily take that as Shedeur Sanders isn't going in the first round. I would be stunned if he does not go in the first round. I would still be surprised, not shocked, but surprised if he doesn't go in the first 10 picks. But just because Shedeur is not going to the draft, that does not give me any indication that he isn't going in the first round. Remember, his last name is Sanders. Remember, they could probably be doing some party. Who knows what's going to happen? Shedeur, I don't look into it. Him not going to the draft doesn't mean that he's not going in the first round. But I'll tell you, when Jalen Milroe, it was announced that he was going in the first round, or that he was going to the draft, that was something to me that was startling, because I'm like, I didn't really think Jalen Milroe 2 weeks ago, when this came out, whenever it was, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that he was going to be a first-round pick. Like, that was just something that I go, that was the takeaway. That was the alarming part. It wasn't Cam Ward being there. He's supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. It wasn't Jackson Dart. Many think that he is going to be a first-round pick. But it was really that takeaway when this happened a little while back was, wow, Jalen Milroe, he's got to know something that gives him the confidence to go to the NFL draft, because most people didn't think he was going to be a first-round pick. Well, we fast forward to today. I was on the good old cesspool of Twitter, and I see that there's an updated list of people attending the NFL draft. Cam Ward's still going. Jalen Milroe's still going. Jackson Dart is not. So what has changed in the last 2 weeks-ish or so with Jackson Dart going and now no longer going? And let me just say this right away. I have no clue if this is true, but I just want to preface this with this statement. If something's going on in the personal life, if something's going on with family that maybe prevents him from going to the draft, that has not been reported. There's nothing out there yet on that. And that's a reason that ends up coming out why he's not going to the draft. I will admit, I'm apologizing in advance for what I'm about to say. But if that move has nothing to do with anything going on in his personal life, the health of anyone, and he just all of a sudden said, yeah, I'm not going to the draft anymore, I'm not going to assume it's because he got some crazy deal to host some draft party and things like that. I'm going to imagine that this is Jackson Dart kind of saying, the way I'm getting talked about in the media, how people thought now it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to be a first-round pick, I think this move, if it's nothing more than him just saying, I'm going out of the green room, I don't want to be there, is him not really having a ton of confidence that he's going to be a first-round pick. And I gave you my quarterback rankings yesterday. My rankings. Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, then a severe drop-off. If I was doing the drafting, I would only have 2 quarterbacks go in the first round, but I'm not doing the drafting. My job isn't on the line. I'm not desperate to get a franchise quarterback, but I have Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders being the clear-cut 2 best quarterbacks in this draft class. Then there is a drop-off. The third guy, I'm going off potential. I don't think this guy will reach the potential that people think that he can, and he's way too inconsistent for me. It's either all or nothing with him. There's no middle ground. He's a tremendous runner. He has to work on throwing the football. That's Jalen Milroe. I put Jalen Milroe 3. Then, this is unconventional, but I put Dylan Gabriel 4. Dylan Gabriel, everywhere he's gone, he's produced, whether that's UCF, whether that's Oklahoma, or just recently this past year at Oregon. And then in at number 5, I do have Jackson Dart. My first guy out of the top 5, it is Kyle McCord. So I'll ask this question. And it doesn't matter what I think should happen. It's what will happen. How many quarterbacks will go in the first round? There's 32 picks. There's been no suspensions this year. No one lost a draft pick or anything like that. But there's 32 picks. How many quarterbacks will go in the first round? And if I'm setting the odds, if I'm Vegas, I'm saying 2.5. I think it's right there. I think it's 50-50 that it could be under 2.5, and it could just be Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, or it could be slightly over 2.5, and you end up seeing Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and then another quarterback go in the first round. Gut instinct right now, Samter. Over under 2.5 quarterbacks going in the first round with this news that, yes, you have 3 quarterbacks attending the draft originally. Now it's down to 2. You know Shedeur is probably going to go in the first round, but he's not going to the draft. The 3 quarterbacks that were supposed to attend were Cam Ward, were Jalen Milroe, and Jackson Dart. Now Jackson Dart has taken his name out of the green room, and he is not going to the draft anymore. So only 2 quarterbacks going still to the NFL draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin, coming up on Thursday. Over under 2.5 quarterbacks go in the first round. What say you?
Over.
Okay, and who are the quarterbacks?
Obviously, the top 2, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I wouldn't be surprised if you had 4, Dart and Milroe.
Wow. 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, because you think about, obviously, the Titans.
Samter with the takes today. The smoking takes.
The Titans, the Saints, the Steelers, I feel like are all going to go quarterback. So if the Steelers are at 21 and they get Dart or Milroe, and then I think the Browns or the Giants are going to trade back up and try to get one of those other guys and lock him in for that 5th-year option and get Milroe or whoever else, falls down. Kind of similar to what the Ravens did, trading up for Lamar Jackson a few years back. No one thought that he was actually going to be a first-round pick, even though he should have been.
Hold on.
Most people didn't have him as a first-round pick.
I thought he absolutely should have been a first-round pick. My quarterbacks that year, I think I had him as the 3rd highest-rated quarterback, if memory serves me right. And I remember, now it was in the nighttime hours when I was doing the weekend overnights, but I remember shredding Bill Polian for suggesting, and I also don't like Bill Polian because in Indianapolis Colt, I fully admit that, and he cried a lot when my football team would kick his ass and change the rules. Ooh, the quarterbacks, they're too aggressive with their wide receivers, where? But anyway, I remember shredding Bill Polian because how many Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, and just because you win a Heisman Trophy, it does not mean whatsoever that you're going to go on to be a great quarterback in the NFL. But how many Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks have at least got that opportunity to be a quarterback in the NFL? And Bill Polian was like, he should be a wide receiver. He should be a running back. So I always thought that was ridiculous. So I wanted my football team to really draft Lamar Jackson to be the heir to the throne to Tommy Brady at the time, because it was uncertain how much longer Tom Brady was actually going to play. So you think that we could get 4, now 5 went in the first round, that draft class, and that was considered to be a strong quarterback draft class, because that was Baker, right?
That was
Baker, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Lamar Jackson. So Baker successful, Sam Darnold, I can't call him successful, but he just had a good season. So now there's intrigue on Sam Darnold again. Josh Rosen, I don't know what jacuzzi he's in right now, but he's not playing in the NFL. Josh Allen's a stud and Lamar Jackson is a stud. And Josh Allen was the 3rd quarterback? Yeah, 3rd quarterback in that draft class, and Lamar Jackson was 5th. But that was perceived to be a strong quarterback draft class. This is not. I'm starting to get the vibes with this quarterback draft class, and I'm not saying it is necessarily this one. I think it's a combination of the quarterback draft class when Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback to go in the first round, where we were like talked into these other quarterbacks that were out there, like a Malik Willis and these other guys, and the dude that played for the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, like, oh, there could be quarterbacks going in the first round, even though this isn't a strong quarterback draft class. It's not as bare as that draft class, let me be clear. But I would say it's a mixture of that one and then also the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson draft class. And Bryce Young, we'll see if it was year 1 bad, year 2 good. CJ Stroud, good, year 1 and year 2. Anthony Richardson, he's a bust right now. He can't even get through an entire game without having to tap out and take himself out of a game. So that's what I think it's a mix of right now in terms of the numbering. I think it's between 1 to 3. The difference is, as you saw 3 go in the first round with Stroud going 1, or Stroud going 2, Bryce Young going 1, and Anthony Richardson going 4. I don't think the quarterbacks are to go that early in terms of bang, bang, bang. Ward will go 1. After that, I don't know when shedeur is going to go. How about you, Botcher? How many quarterbacks in the first round this year?
They got 3.
Okay, who are your 3? shedeur, Cam Ward,
Shedeur,
and
Cam
who else?
Ward, and Jackson Dart.
Okay. I'm going to say 3 as well. I'm going to take the slight over here. I don't feel great about going the over. I don't think it's going to be 4. But with Jackson Dart taking his name out of the running to go to the NFL draft and giving back his invitation and saying, thanks, but no thanks, unless if there's something personally going on, and if there is, I have sympathy for that, but we don't know anything up until this point. I just have to clarify it that way. I think Jackson Dart's not going in the first round. And Jackson Dart, at the end of the NFL season, no one said he was a first-round quarterback. No one did. And he has made this rise in the media. Sometimes people make this rise in the media, and it doesn't reflect what will actually happen. There's a difference in the NFL media and the NFL GMs. And Dart pulling his name out of the hat here is just odd to me. It's bizarre. It's peculiar, because when these names came out on who was going to the draft, oh yeah, Dart will be a first-round pick, right? That was the conversation. That was the narrative. And it was, oh, why is Jalen Milroe's name in there? Now, Jalen Milroe's staying. Jackson Dart isn't going. So I think there's going to be 3 quarterbacks go in the first round. I think it's going to be Cam Ward. I think it's going to be shedeur Sanders. And I would only use a first-round pick on those 2 quarterbacks. I've said that 3,000 times. I'll say it for the 3,001st time. I would only use a first-round pick on shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. And I think Cam Ward will go number 1 to Tennessee. Shedeur, I have no clue where he's going to go now. But I think the Giants and the Browns and a trade-up are in play. I'm not expecting to go 2 and 3. If he is going to go in the first 3 picks, I think it will be to the Giants. I think the Raiders are going to pass on him. Maybe the Raiders could come trade up and go get him. I don't think that's going to happen. The Saints are in play and the Steelers are in play. But I do think those 2 guys are going in the first round for sure. Cam Ward and shedeur Sanders. After that, I think Jalen Milroe going to the draft. And hey, he's a confident kid. Maybe he just doesn't care if he has to wait around to the second round and go back there on that Friday if he does. But I think Jalen Milroe keeping his name in there and Jackson Dart taking his name out, there's a little bit of a rise and maybe a little hush-hush, wink-wink. If you're there in the first round, we're going to take you. Because it was so bizarre when his name was out there for the first round in going to the draft. No one thought he was going. And he accepted that invitation and he's still going. Jackson Dart accepted that invitation, but now has taken it back. So we're all going the over. Samter says 4 quarterbacks go in the first round. Botcher says 3, but he has Dart in there with Ward and shedeur. I have Ward and shedeur. I also go 3, but I have Jalen Milroe also going in the first round. What say you? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We'll take a break. We're talking hoops for 2 segments on the other side. Bill Reiter from Reiter Than You right here on the Infinity Sports Network joins us in studio next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
We have company on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, and I'm very annoyed at my guest who's in studio with us right now. He's the host of Reiter Than You on many of these same Infinity Sports Network affiliates, and you can listen to him weekdays, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. And that is the preeminent voice at our network when it comes to basketball, and that is Bill Reiter. Bill,
you're so kind.
You're CBS Sports HQ's basketball insider. How could you not be the preeminent basketball voice?
How did I annoy you? Is it just my general charm, or what's going on?
Well, a source told me that you had a little night out on the town with Stu Kovacs.
Yeah.
And I look across the glass today, and we know Stu is a party animal.
He is.
Now, he's tied down in the lady situation now, so he's not, going around and, sleeping with everyone in the city.
They were checking him out, though.
Of course.
Wow.
Stu's a sex icon. Let's just
really
be real.
is.
But I know Stu likes to party. I know Stu likes to throw back a few drinks. And I got an alert this morning. Samter's in, but Ryan Botcher's in for Stu Kovacs.
Oh, so you think I maybe a few too many drinks, he didn't show up.
That's what I think so.
That sounds like a Stu problem.
Stu's like Dennis Rodman.
My show's earlier than your show, and I was here this morning working, Stu.
Well, yeah, like, let's be real. I think you could survive any situation the night before and then still be Bill Reiter on the
I have been known to put down a few. All right, but I will. We'll both effort giving Stu a very hard time on this.
100%.
Okay.
Like, Stu doesn't. I know NBA players need load management. Stu doesn't need a load management day. If we're just being honest.
I mean, as I understand it, Stu does load manage though, so that's what I've heard.
By the way, this play-in tournament.
You don't like it?
Could we just stop?
Okay, can I push back on that?
Go ahead. You're the guest. Do whatever you want.
I mean, it's your show. Today's games subtract from the sum of all human joy. They're awful. I hate them. I do think trying to avoid the play-in made the Western Conference in particular really compelling the last 3 weeks of the regular season.
So here's my problem. The NBA regular season, is too long.
Okay. We're starting with that. Okay, got it.
I'm not going to win that fight. They're not going to reduce the games,
They're not.
in my opinion. Maybe quarter length, but not the games. I understand how money works. But the players also think the regular season is too long with how infrequently we see these players get through the entirety of the season. So after 82 games of this product being too long, we need a format to reward teams that weren't in the top 8.
Do you think baseball season is too long?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. So here's the thing. I can't change, like you can't change, the fact that all of the money is about broadcasting rights. That's what it's about. Mm-hmm. And TV networks are not giving back that money, and they're not giving. They want those games. I like the plan. I do. Whatever the reasons, I think it makes it compelling. Those guys care. They don't want to be in that crapshoot Russian roulette NBA reality. By the way, every single team 1 through 8 in the Western Conference is good enough to win an NBA championship. I could walk you through even Memphis why they could do that, but not if you probably make the play-in. Maybe the Warriors because they got the Rockets. I think the Rockets are not very good or as good as their 2 seed suggests. So I think that when you have a conference like the West where there's a lot of good teams and there's a real reason not to fall into the play-in because you actually can do something, I like it.
Your Warriors comment. So I do think the Warriors are going to beat the Rockets.
I do too.
How many games are you thinking?
5 or 6, maybe. I mean, look, like Houston's really good defensively, and they Amen Thompson's an absolute stud, and they've been much better offensively the last 6 or 7 weeks. But the Warriors are experienced, and that matters. And the Warriors have been one of the best teams in the league since Jimmy Butler came on board. So yeah, 6. I'll go 6. I'll be polite to Houston.
Is there anything that Steph Curry could do? Because in the national landscape, right, for the last 15 years, it's been LeBron is chasing Michael Jordan, right?
Yep.
Is there anything Steph could do where then Steph moves past LeBron?
I love this guy. My guy LeBron, by the way.
Oh,
That's
yes.
my dude.
LeBron, if you're listening, yes, I also think Bill Reiter is a liar.
Thank you, LeBron. I mean, it's interesting. By the way, I like LeBron, full disclosure. Wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't for him. I think he's complicated. It is interesting to be called a liar by someone that many find to be a pathological liar. But anyway, that aside, no, it's a great point. I've been talking about this with NBA people for a while, and nobody knows what to do with this. If the Warriors are NBA champions this year, and they can be, and their betting odds are pretty good, and their path is very clear, and Steph Curry has 5 rings to LeBron's 4, and Steph Curry did everything by staying at the same organization and creating a culture from what was the worst sports franchise maybe in America when he arrived. And LeBron, not a criticism, but he shopped teams, he shopped rings. That's fine. Like, go get yours. I'm not mad. I've moved to LA and New York and back for my career. I get it. I think how are you the best player of all time if you are arguably not the most successful player of your era?
Here's how I would say it. I think LeBron is the most successful player of his era.
Not if he has fewer rings than Steph. Are you an individual accolades guy? Because I like championships.
So, fair. I just think LeBron is the better all-around player. Now, with that being said, if you ask me, would I rather have the career of LeBron or Steph Curry? I said this last year. I'd rather be Steph because I'm the greatest shooter of all time, and also I'm a lot more likable. Like the last 2 to 3 years, I've never had a bad word to say about LeBron. Like the decision, I didn't like how LeBron did go about it, but I thought he had every right to go to Miami. I loved him coming back to Cleveland and winning that championship. Had no problem going to the Lakers. He won a championship, but most people didn't think he would. Steph has always been likable. LeBron the last 2 to 3 years, to me, has been a little bit insufferable.
I covered LeBron his first year in Miami, and he is so much like that guy that he grew out of being and sort of, because we all have our bad moments. We all, and everything that LeBron James does, good or bad, happens in the spotlight. So when he was not at his best self, and that was true, how he handled pressure, people, media, basketball in 2010-11. It's weird to see him regress to that. Can I go back to your better, the semantics of better player, better career? I don't know if I can separate those in a team sport. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a better player and had a better career or whatever than Eli. Eli has 2 Super Bowls, and Rodgers has won them for an NFC Championship game. So
if you were starting an organization, though, from scratch, they were the
I'm
same
starting
age.
Steph. I'm taking Steph.
Okay.
Well,
but you would take Rodgers over Eli. You would.
I don't know. Do I get to know what I know now that he's I'm not saying he's narcissistic, but that he's very self-involved and toxic? That's a tough call, man.
I would put up for that, though, with not really knowing that the first 13 years of his career.
You get one ring.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get.
Let me ask you a question. We say one ring.
You get one,
Do you know
dude.
how many fan bases would love just one ring?
I'm a Bears fan. Yeah. I'm pretty in the loop on the misery of the... yeah, no, I get it.
Bill Reiter here with us. Lakers, Timberwolves. I think the Lakers are going to win the series. Are we overlooking the Timberwolves heading into the postseason?
So I just did predictions on CBS Sports Network today, and this was one of the hard... I took the Timberwolves. It's a coin toss for me. The betting markets see it as a pretty straightforward Lakers win, or fairly straightforward. Here's what I would say about the Timberwolves. They are one of 5 teams in the NBA in the top 10 in offensive and defensive rating this year. That is a pretty reliable gauge of who's going to win the whole thing. Usually, not always, have to be both. The other teams are the Thunder, the Cavs, the Celtics, and interestingly, Memphis. So there's that. I think Anthony Edwards can be the best player on the floor for 4 or 5 of those games. By the way, he could be 0 because Luka and LeBron are obviously really, really good. And the Lakers are small. They're not tall. They're not traditional. I mean, they're obviously strong and like they can defend on the perimeter. So it's a weird matchup. They don't really have a center. I think it's a coin flip series for me.
So here's what's fascinating to me in the discourse. The Lakers right now are viewed in such a positive way because of this marriage that has happened just so unexpectedly between LeBron and Luka. The Timberwolves are only 1 game worse.
Yeah.
And for all the season that they just had with the changes in DiVincenzo and Julius Randle and where they were last year, and many thought they were going to the finals, they lose in the conference finals, it feels like they've been missing that it factor this year. With that being said, though,
they have.
How many times have we seen in the history of the NBA recently teams have successful seasons year before they're like, all right, let's just get to the postseason. That's when it starts.
I mean, it's a process. Like for most teams to have real success, you have to. That's why people are doubting the Thunder and the Cavs, I think. You have to. So the fact that the Timberwolves made the conference finals last year, I think is really significant. That said, as you know, are you a Knicks fan? I can't remember. Karl Anthony Towns is a New York Knick now. Yeah. And they didn't get the right return on that guy.
I parachuted in on the Knicks.
You should.
I grew up as a Nets fan. I was a huge Jason Kidd fan.
Okay.
And I really stopped caring for the Nets when Kidd left as a coach because I thought he betrayed us.
He did. He betrays everybody, by the way.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
That's his shtick.
And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if he betrays the Mavericks soon after this debacle.
I've actually had some people just tell me to look into. I haven't looked into it. I haven't reported it yet. I've been busy, but I've had some people, some sources reach out in the last few days and say, you should look into Jason Kidd's sort of role potentially in Luka going away. And he just remember, everywhere Kidd goes, someone else gets blamed, someone else gets fired. So just keep an eye on that.
What do you mean?
I mean,
exactly?
Maybe Jason Kidd was more involved or somewhat involved or very involved in the decision-making to trade Luka Doncic. I mean, look, I'm not trying to apologize for Nico Harrison, and there was no way to apologize for that guy, especially after his secret press conference the other day. I'm just saying, yeah, to your point about Jason Kidd, everywhere he's gone, he has created political problems, and it's become a Game of Thrones situation, even with people who brought him in.
So I would think that Jason Kidd, and I'm wrong on this with your information, he would be frustrated with this, and then he would leave. You're saying it's probably still likely Kidd's going to stay there.
I don't know. I've just had some people sort of reach out and say, you should look into this. I think I do know that what Jason Kidd prefers is power. Like he wants to have influence. That's fine. He's a coach. He thinks he knows best. He's an amazing player. But he didn't stick around in Milwaukee with Giannis. He didn't stick around with the Nets. He got coaches fired a lot when he was a player. And so there's just some people in the world, wherever they go, suddenly are dissatisfied with their colleagues. Maybe he's one of those guys.
Now, you do Bum of the Week every week on your show on Friday. Do you do Bum of the Year?
I do Bum of the Year.
How can't Nico Harrison win this
I think he's got a good chance.
To.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers and Doc River. I think Aaron has won the last 2.
I don't know. We are 8 months out. I would say we could already make the trophy that Nico Harrison wins it. He's the most hated person in sports right now.
I don't think you've ever even been nominated for Bum of the Week. And I've certainly had colleagues win that award.
Yeah.
The Sheep has won it. The former DA has won it. And I love DA, but they are like you've not. Like, that's how high a regard I hold you in.
For some reason, I don't know why. People like me around here.
I like you. Yeah.
The Nuggets and the Clippers.
Yeah, good series.
This to me is fascinating because I still don't trust the Clippers, even though Kawhi is
me too.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I get it.
But when I have to rely on James Harden in the postseason, that's when I say I'm out.
So, did you ever know, maybe you dated this girl, your friends did, where she's beautiful and she's charming and she's out of your league, but she's also like going to cheat on you and make your life miserable. And it's okay to date her once, but then you have your buddy who goes back to her 2 or 3 times and nothing changes. I am that person and believing in the Clippers right now. I know they're going to break my heart. I know I've been seduced again. I know it's all going to come crashing down. I picked them. So they have the 3rd best defense in the NBA. I mean, you're right. Relying on James Harden in the playoffs and relying on Kawhi Leonard to be healthy. But the Denver Nuggets are not very good. They're a bad basketball. They have the best player on earth. I did vote for him for MVP. I voted for Jokic over SGA, I know, by the way. Jamal Murray is even more unreliable than he was 2 years ago when he had a very good finals and they obviously won the whole thing. Michael Porter Jr. has regressed. And I like Christian Brown, but when Christian Brown is one of your best players and you're talking about Russell Westbrook doing it again, and they obviously fired their coach and their GM because that was a toxic relationship. I like the Clippers in the series.
Well, I don't think it's crazy like the Clippers in this series, but when I hear people say they could be a dark horse to get to the NBA Finals or the Conference Finals, that's where I push back because I'm relying on James Harden to do enough in the postseason and also Kawhi to stay healthy for the entirety of the postseason.
And by the way, they can't. So here, the thing is, Kawhi came back on January 4th, and he hasn't played every game. He's sort of on and off, right? Like he load manages.
But he's good to go now.
Over that stretch, they are top 6 in offense and defense. They were already a top defense. And so if James Harden because they run a lot of ISO, right? They don't run a lot of sets, but Tyler's a great coach. If Kawhi's healthy, I think the Harden problem becomes less problematic because you don't need him as much. It's just here and there. But I'm with you. I think I'll take the Clippers in most series they play in until Kawhi gets hurt. And I think Kawhi is eventually going to get hurt, and that's going to be a conversation.
Could you imagine if Nikola Jokic, with all the problems on that team,
oh my God,
puts this team on his back while he's basically coaching the team as well, and they get to the conference finals of the NBA Finals?
So there are people in the NBA who played, who are GMs, who think, to our earlier conversation about where do you rank Steph LeBron, who think Jokic is a top 10 talent of all time. But you'll never get that level of respect, and you probably shouldn't if you don't win. I mean, what does he have to get? 3 or 4 rings minimum to get there? But if you win a ring this year, it almost feels like a ring and a half.
I think it's scaled differently. Like, if you get 2 rings in Denver.
Yeah, during the LeBron and the Steph era?
With also, like...
Yeah.
LeBron, right, when he's won, he's had Kyrie, he's had Anthony Davis, he's had Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh.
Yes.
Steph Curry's had Kevin Durant. Like, to me, winning with Jamal Murray as your second best player, and I like Jamal Murray.
He's fine.
That's an incredible accomplishment.
Jokic has never played with a player who is an all-star or an all-NBA player, not including Russell Westbrook coming in as a shell of himself.
Now, to be clear, I don't think he'll do this, but will he force a trade in the next few years?
So, and I wrote this 4 months ago. In fact, your guy Bart Winker got mad. Like, people got mad at me in Wisconsin. Giannis might force a trade. People think that'll happen. Luka and not, the expectation is Luka and Nikola Jokic would never do that. I don't know is the answer. But if I had to, no, I don't think. The only problem is that him and Doncic are really good friends. So if he really gets frustrated and he wanted to go hang out with his best buddy
after LeBron retires,
there's a world where maybe that can happen. But my knee-jerk response to you is no. I don't think he's built that way.
When is LeBron retiring?
Not soon enough. Just kidding. I'm joking. I don't run a stream. I'm just kidding. I actually like LeBron. I don't have to. You don't have to like me for me.
He doesn't like you.
No, not right now. Whatever. That comes and goes. People don't like people saying real things about them, and so like journalists tend to be disliked by the people they cover. That's a great question. I think he will retire in 2027. I'll say he has 2 more seasons after this one. But dude, nothing. We will know. He is not doing a Tim Duncan, I'm retired. He is doing a 2-year goodbye.
Oh, this is a tour, yeah.
So it could be
Mariano, David Ortiz.
Right. Times 2. And not charming. It'll be ham-fisted. But I think it's 2 years. That's my guess.
Thunder or the Field. If you would ask me this a few weeks ago, I would have said the Field. I'm going Thunder now, though.
So the betting markets are really close. Okay, short answer, the Field. Long answer, I really think, and I could walk you through it. I wrote this over at CBSSports.com. I really think you can make a case for every single team if Memphis gets in, to make a run of the conference finals if they have the right path. I will go the field, although I like their if the Warriors had were in the 8 game tonight and could be the 8 seed to play the Thunder, I'd be even more confident in it. It's really a tough call. I'll go field, but the Thunder are really, really, really good.
Why did Bill Reiter vote Nikola Jokic over SGA for the MVP? But we'll get to that on the other side. We'll also touch on the Eastern Conference. We'll look in the Cavs, the Celtics, and also the future of Tom Thibodeau when Bill Reiter comes on back with us on the Zach Gelb Show. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, TMZ reported that Spurs coach Greg Popovich fainted while at a restaurant for dinner on Tuesday. EMTs were called, and the 76-year-old coach was alert and talking by the time he went into an ambulance. Popovich has missed most of the season since recovering from a stroke in November. There are 2 spots remaining in the NBA playoffs, and they will be clinched tonight. With the play-in tournament concluding in the East, it comes down to the Heat and Hawks for the 8th spot, guaranteeing 2 teams from the Southeast Division will be in the playoffs, even if it is the final 2 spots. Miami comes into this one with a better outlook after a convincing win in Chicago on Wednesday when they were led by Tyler Hero's 38, and the Heat star said their mission is not yet complete.
We knew what our path was. It's going to take 2 wins on the road, which we're capable of. We knew that from the beginning, and we're excited for this challenge going into Atlanta. Just got to keep that same focus.
The winner faces the Cavaliers next. In the West, the Grizzlies host the Mavericks for the right to meet the Thunder. Memphis has been up and down since firing head coach Taylor Jenkins, losing 3 straight, then winning 4 of the final 6, only to fall the Warriors on Tuesday. Ja Morant, a game-time decision with an ankle injury. And at Wrigley, the Cubs lead the Diamondbacks 2-1 in the 5th. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, Zach Gelb and Bill Reiter here with you. Bill Reiter hanging out with us in our New York City studios until the top of the hour. So right before we got to break, you obviously shared that you have an MVP vote.
Good
we
tease
knew that.
by you, by the way.
Yeah.
Pro.
You know, a blind squirrel will find the nut once in a while.
Yeah.
But you said that you voted Nikola Jokic over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yes,
Why?
I did. Because I'm tortured. So I love having a vote. It's a privilege, right? You have to take it seriously. Most years I enjoy it. This year I found it torturous because I don't think there was a correct answer. There was just a lesser wrong answer. I can give you the long version, but the short version is as great. Okay, I think SGA is amazing. He's incredible. It's not a slight on him. If you say Michael Jordan is the second best player of all time, you're not saying Michael Jordan sucks. All that stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that if you swapped Jokic and you swapped SGA, that Jokic would go onto this Thunder team that is incredibly deep, has the best point differential in history, is remarkable defensively. He's never played Jokic for a good defensive team. And they would win 66, 67, 70, 71 games and an NBA championship. I think if you put Shai over on this Nuggets team, and even if you found a equivalent for Jamal Murray because they play the same position, I don't think they're the 4 seed in the Western Conference. I just think, and again, it's in the margins here, I think the value of Nikola Jokic, he literally just had the best season of his career, Zach, and he's a multi-time MVP. And so it was really, really tough. I just think I think he's a better player than SGA, but I also think, more importantly, he is more valuable to the Nuggets than SGA is. Take SGA off that team, they might be the 4 seed.
So don't get me wrong. Like you said, I think Nikola Jokic could win it,
It's hard.
or SGA could win it. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer this year.
It's so hard.
You didn't have this fatigue, but do you think there will be voter
Yes.
fatigue since Nikola Jokic has already won 3?
100%. And by the way, I don't know what other voters do. I will not look at other ballots or talk to other voters in the 2 or 3 weeks before I'm voting because I don't want to be influenced.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, when Embiid won, I went Jokic 1, Giannis 2, Embiid 3. And so I sort of, when I come up for air sometimes, I sort of see after I vote, what's going on. I had checked in with some buddies maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, voters, and they were leaning Jokic, and several of them ended up voting for SGA. So voter fatigue / I think the fear of people in the NBA, I think a lot of writers fear being made fun of on Twitter more than they fear doing a bad job, personally. And I think the fear of getting it wrong or looking silly for not voting for the guy that is on the best team in the NBA, I think swayed. So yes, to a degree, and I think just the narrative forces that are out there, I think take hold too.
Let's go through the Eastern Conference. Bill Reiter here with us. We already touched on the West in the last segment. If you missed any of it, Odyssey app, rewind function, you could use all that. I'll be a good company guy.
I love that.
Knicks, by the way.
Yeah.
First back-to-back 50-win season for a coach since Pat Riley. So Tom Thibodeau just did that. Tibbs is on the hot seat, people think, going into the postseason. I think if they win the first round, there's no way he's getting fired.
I think it's interesting because Leon Rose, who I think is very good, he's J.D. Salinger though. He's just hiding somewhere. He's in a secret.
He's
bunker.
at every game.
I know he's in the game. He's not talking.
Stands.
If I walked up to him, he'd be like, "Oh, thank you." He's very polite, very nice man. I mean, they spent a lot to get here. I mean, they really did on Bridges in particular. But they built this team under the expectation they could win an NBA championship. I thought it was a reasonable expectation. I thought they were the elite among the elite. I thought they had closed the gap with Boston. It was Cleveland who did that somehow, right, by hiring Kenny Atkinson. So, if you go and you get swept by the Celtics, it's up to Leon Rose. I don't know. Leon Rose is hard to read. I think I could see Tibbs being on a hot seat, and I don't personally think that they're going to lose to the Pistons, but they can. I think that's a closer series than Knicks fans want to admit.
So a lot of people have floated out the Knicks as a destination for Kevin Durant this summer.
Yes.
I think the Rockets are going to be where he ultimately lands up with the Ime Udoka situation. I've been floating this out there, and I don't know if it has any legs.
All right, hit me.
But with how close Leon Rose is as he used to represent Devin Booker, and this has been talked about before, and Bridges knows the Suns, obviously. Can you see Bridges being involved in a trade to the Suns, except Devin Booker's the one going back to the Knicks?
So that is what should happen, I think, or some version of that if enough comes in return, because Matt Ishbia and the Suns need to tear it down. I don't have any credible reporting on this, but there is credible reporting that suggests the Suns are going to keep Booker, extend him, pay him $75 million a year on the back end of that deal. So I doubt it. I doubt it. I do think the Durant thing is real. I'm with you. I think that the Rockets are the leader in the clubhouse. I think keep an eye on Orlando. Keep an eye on the Spurs. There's a lot of talk that the Spurs are a team that Durant might want to go to. But KD is one of these rare talents where I think his arrival makes you a championship contender if he goes to the right place.
And you think the Knicks could be that?
100. The Knicks are that. I think the Spurs are that. I mean, the Spurs, if he's back with Wembanyama, Durant, Stephon Castle, and who am I forgetting?
De'Aaron
Fox. I mean, that's it. The Rockets don't have offense. They can't create their own offense. That's their problem. Orlando had a lot of injuries. They're awful offensively. Yeah, any of those teams you put them on, I think they become an elite basketball team.
Now, I was going to ask you this before the news today, and this is a report by TMZ. I don't want to be insensitive by asking this question. We know that Greg Popovich back in early November suffered a stroke.
Right.
There's a report out there today from TMZ that they have video of him having a medical emergency at a restaurant.
Awful.
And he was taken away in an ambulance. So first off, our thoughts to Greg Popovich. With that being said, I don't want to be insensitive here. I was going to ask you this, though. I didn't think Pop was coming back either way to be the full-time coach, and I've been thinking that Becky Hammon's going to replace him with the Spurs.
It's really interesting. So R.C. Buford is the guy that runs basketball operation. I mean, Pop runs everything. So the question will become, does Pop have the say after he is no longer the head coach? Or does it transfer down to Buford, who is actually in charge of basketball ops, but Pop's in charge of everything in that system? She could get the job. I mean, look, there are people that think Bill Self will get the job because he and R.C. Buford are best friends. It's also, unlike it was 2 years ago, it is the best job in the NBA now because you are one of the best runs organizations. If Wembanyama comes back from this blood clot situation, you have Wembanyama, you have a ton of picks, you have a ton of assets that you can move. You've got Stephon Castle, who's amazing. You've got De'Aaron Fox, who's really, really good. So I think Hammond, whoever Buford might secretly want to hire, I don't know if that's Bill Self or not. I just know that people have talked about that for years. And then I think any coach that's available is going to apply for that job. And so Hammond has a chance, but that'll be highly coveted.
Right now, do you lean Cavs or Celtics in the East? Because that's the collision course, right?
I think Boston's the best team Look, the same reason I didn't take the Thunder over the field is why I can't take the Cavs over the Celtics. They haven't done it yet. They're really great. They're amazing. I believe in what they did. The regular season was incredible.
They can shoot too, man.
Oh my God! And Kenny Atkinson,
I've seen him
coach
twice
of the year. Dude,
the last week.
But shoot, and the Celtics shoot a lot of threes. How many years did it take Boston with Tatum and Brown? They had different versions to break through. And they lost in the finals. They lost in the conference finals. They lost to the Heat. They lost multiple times before Kyrie was there. And when Kyrie was there, it took those two guys, Tatum and Brown, a long time to just, it's a lot to try to do. Winning those games and winning 16 games is so hard to do.
Do you think it's more likely that the Cavs or the Thunder win the NBA championship?
Thunder.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
Yeah, and the East is easier, by the way. So that, but there's only one elite team in the West. So if Oklahoma City is undaunted by the moment, then they will be in the finals.
Last thing I'll ask you: Pacers and Bucks. Bill Reiter in studio with us, right? And then you can listen to at 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time at many of these same stations. Are the Bucks? I know they're the 5th seed, but I think most people would view the Bucks as the team that's going to win this series. Are they in danger here of losing this?
Yes,
series?
I have the Pacers. Despite my remarkable respect, love, and affection and friendship for Doc Rivers. That is sarcasm.
Chris Paul or Doc Rivers?
I mean, Chris Paul's the better. Chris Paul's a great player. We don't like each other, but he's an amazing player. Doc Rivers is not a very. I don't even know Doc. He's just not a very good coach, and he's not nice to me because I know that and I talk about it. The Pacers on paper are not great defensively. They got off to a terrible start. They're top 10 in defensive rating since December 13th, since January 1st, since the trade deadline. They are playing really, really well right now. I think the Pacers. Nobody's beating the Cavs or the Celtics. I don't think, but I think the Pacers might be the 3rd best team in the East.
I lied. One more. Potential Giannis destinations if he gets traded.
Oh, but Bart's your guy, but I don't want Wisconsin to get mad at me. I'm from Iowa. I love you, Wisconsin.
We'll spend them some spotted cow and cheese curds.
Houston is a place that I think you would keep an eye on. Orlando is a place that you would absolutely keep an eye on. Toronto is a place because of who runs basketball operations there and his connections with growing the game abroad. I think the Rockets it'd be really interesting if the Rockets would prefer Giannis, or I think they would, over Kevin Durant if Giannis made himself available.
Well, I would. I would take the younger player.
Me too.
But I think he may. The question is, who does Ime Udoka prefer? And I think that would be KD, right?
I mean, yeah, but Giannis can play defense, right? He's a grinder like that. But you're right. They need shooting. They need shooting. That's not Giannis.
He is Bill Reiter, CBS Sports HQ. Also, you can listen to him right here on the Infinity Sports Network, our preeminent voice when it comes to basketball on the network. And you can listen to him Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time.
You're the best, Bill.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. And by the way, if you ever take one of my producers out the night before a show and they don't show up again, we're going to become frenemies.
We're not going to be friends. That's an on him thing.
How many drinks for Stu? 8 margaritas?
He only had 1, actually. I only had 2.
A lot of people in the YouTube chat think Stu smokes a little bit. So maybe that's what it was. All righty, we're coming on back when we return. What the heck's going on with Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers? Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Our digital team is really something. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Samter, you made this on your Facebook, I saw it, of you, your wife, and your daughter. What's this trend? How do I refer to it? How do I explain it? The trend that's going on social media? Just wondering.
I guess it's like the action figure in a package.
Action figures, yeah.
Yeah, action figure in a package.
Now, Psych Mampter, he made a few of me, and the first one looked nothing like me. The second one, it looked like me if I was 50 years older, but it was funny because it had wings, it had blue cheese, it had a hockey stick, it had a microphone, it had some Patriot stuff. So, you know, I've been seeing these action figures, and, right, everyone's been putting them out there. Is there a Muppet trend now? Just wondering. Are you aware of this?
I don't know if it's a Muppet trend, but our favorite Mr. Anthony Gallo is messing around with Muppets today himself.
Have you seen any of this Muppet stuff, Botcher?
Nope, not at all.
So Gallo just sent me a Muppet version of the Zach Gelb Show. No offense, Botcher, you're not included because you fill it in, but it's me, Stu, and it's Samter. Now, the action figure, Samter, you could clearly see the resemblance of the person. Muppet form, I'm just going to be honest in how we look as Muppets. Samter, you look the best as a Muppet because it has the whole beard on you, so we could clearly tell that if I put the three people together and just said, try to determine like who is the most recognizable, and it was just an isolated shot, I guess yours would be the most noticeable. Now, I'm the tallest one, obviously, here, and I'm a lot taller than Samter and Stu to begin with, but they made me like ridiculously taller than both you and Stu in this photo. But I'm looking at the Muppets right now. They took my headshot when I first got the show. They took a photo of Stu. Is this him sitting on I thought he was sitting on a pumpkin maybe. It's him sitting on a rock in some park. And then they have the headshot photo of Samter. This is a nice photo of you, by the way. This is the happiest I think I've ever seen you be, Samter, in this headshot.
I'm not a very happy person in general.
Don't be so morbid. It's a Friday. You get to go enjoy your weekend. So I will send you what we look like. Did he send this to you, just wondering? Samter?
He did not. I'm very disappointed because he asked for the pictures, and I sent him great pictures of me, scoured the internet to find the best shots, and he doesn't even send it to me. It's very upsetting.
Okay, well, you'll get over it. I'm going to send you right now. Now, your phone's weird because you don't have an iPhone. So I'm going to send you the Muppet, and let me know if it did go through and if you got the Muppet photo yet. But this is how we look like in Muppets. Now, hold on. It's slowly loading. The cell service isn't good in this studio. No.
I got something.
Yeah. It's delivered. Samter's opening his phone. Let me know how you think we look as Muppets. You look like a good Muppet.
Yeah, I'm a short Muppet, that's for sure.
Well, you're a short human being.
There's not enough gray in my beard, but that's all right. Stu's mustache looks a little bit fishy.
Let me be honest. If it was just based out of Muppet form, I think Stu would be the Muppet that is most likely to get arrested. He looks a little creepy with that mustache.
There's something about that mustache that's
Does
just
Stu
not
have a
working for me.
mustache? I see Stu every day. Does Stu have a mustache?
He has like
very faint facial hair.
Yeah, faint. Well, he's got the beard, and then he tries to grow the full beard, but it's just too patchy. So he's just kind of Joe Dirt style, where there's just like little random hair above his lip, and then there's nothing for a while, and then a little bit of hair in his cheeks.
Stu's beard is thicker on the bottom. On the top, it's very patchy. Now, like when I grow facial hair, I'm more of a goatee kind of guy. That's just how my hair grows in on my face. But Stu kind of looks a little creepy as a Muppet. I think you look good as a Muppet, though, Samter. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Muppets for the entirety of this hour. We are going to talk about Brock Purdy. And I think the San Francisco 49ers have reached a dead end right now, where they have a contract offer out to Brock Purdy. His side, though, is not inclined to take that offer. So they've reached a stalemate right now. So this was the latest report from Matt Maiocco. The latest is the 49ers have made an offer. It's kind of sitting there. Brock Purdy in his camp, and I don't know how much Brock is involved in this. I'm sure the agent is shielding him from a lot of this stuff. But the offer the 49ers have made isn't one that Brock Purdy's side is inclined to take at this point, nor will they. So I wonder what the offer is. Now, I'm anticipating that the Brock Purdy contract is going to be starting with a 5 per year. I think he is getting $50 million a year. Now, you could argue and say, Zach, come on. He's not worth $50 million a year. But how many times does a quarterback show they're good? There's still questions if they could be great. And then they end up getting a contract that either resets the market or is at the tippy top of the market or pretty damn close. Like Dak Prescott right now makes $60 million a year. I do not think that Brock Purdy will eclipse that number. I don't know how much better, though, Dak Prescott is than Brock Purdy. He's better. I don't know by how much. Joe Burrow is clearly better than Brock Purdy. He makes $55 a year. After this new deal, Josh Allen makes $55 a year. Josh Allen clearly better than Brock Purdy. But after that, you have these names. Jordan Love, he also makes $55 million a year. Trevor Lawrence makes $55 million a year. Tua Tagovailoa makes $53 million a year. And I'll give you the next two names after that. Jared Goff makes $53 million a year, and Justin Herbert makes $52 million a year. Jordan Love has been good. I wouldn't say he's great. Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't been great. I can't even say right now he's playing good football. Tua Tagovailoa has barely been on the field. Jared Goff is a good quarterback, but this past year in the biggest game of the season, he did not play all that particularly well. Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game yet, even though I think he's very talented. So Brock Purdy, right, his first true year as a starter, he got to the Super Bowl. The year before that, when he was playing, he got the team to an NFC championship game. And this past year, the team missed the playoffs, but so many people were banged up. So the decision the 49ers have to make now, are they going to pay Brock Purdy? I think they are. And the question just is, how much money can they save? Because they've already made so many moves where they've cut the fat on the roster to be able to allocate a lot of dollars to Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy, he's making at least $50 million. Now, quarterbacks that make at least $50 million in the NFL, Jalen Hurts, $51 a year. Lamar, $52. Herbert, $52. Goff, $53. Tua, $53. Trevor, $55. Jordan, $55. Jordan Love. Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, $55. And then Dak Prescott, $60. I think he is making at least $52 million a year. I would probably say if he wants to get and suck every dollar out of the 49ers organization, how does he not make $55 million a year? Now, if it was only Burrow and if it was only Allen on that list making $55 million a year, you have a point to make. But when the other guy's making $55 million a year, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, and Tua Tagovailoa, I do think Jordan Love is better than Brock Purdy. I don't know if Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence are better than Brock Purdy. Now, here's what's going to happen, though. Brock Purdy, I do think they will get a deal done. They're at a stalemate right now. With that being said, though, I ultimately think a deal will happen, and this will get taken care of. And the moment when this deal gets taken care of, Samter, I'll ask you this question, and this is what I think the answer is. And I'll see if you give me a name or two that could kind of make me change my opinion on this. And pressure is a very ambiguous term, right? Like there's pressure to lose your job. There's pressure to prove that you're worth it. But with the Brock Purdy situation, with McCaffrey coming off an injury, Kittle getting another year older, Brandon Ayuk coming off an injury, Deebo Samuel no longer there, and Brock Purdy, I can't say he's on the verge, but I do ultimately think that he will get a contract in the $52, $53, $54, $55 million range, right? I think the lowest 52, the highest 55, maybe the highest 55 and a half, 56, maybe, potentially, but somewhere in that range. I think once that deal gets taken care of, and ultimately I do think they will cross the T's and dot the I's, I think Brock Purdy's the quarterback going into this season has the most pressure on him. Because you get that money, you get great money. The jury's still out if you could be a great quarterback, and you've lost pieces now to find a way to pay you. So therefore, you now need to elevate your game, and this contract is given out, not necessarily with what he's done so far. It has a little bit to do with it, but more so the potential of what the 49ers think Brock Purdy can be. And it's kind of fascinating when you look back at it, because there was always rumors of Tom Brady going there. You know, rumors of Aaron Rodgers, rumors of Kirk Cousins. You know, they got the Jimmy G situation taken care of. Then they went all in for Trey Lance, and then they quickly gave up on Trey Lance. The fact that Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, and inevitably at some point this offseason, he's going to get a contract per year that starts with a 5. It's wild that he became the guy. And even though he is the guy, I don't think you could sit here and feel fully confident that he's the face of the franchise for the next 10 years in San Francisco. And I know it's tough to play 10 years in this league, especially with one team. But when you give a guy that money, you're doing so thinking, okay, this is not only the first contract we're going to give Brock Purdy, but there probably will be a second contract after the first contract comes to an end, or you get a little bit close to the end and it's like, okay, this is our guy. We're going to get the deal done now to save money down the road. So I think Brock Purdy going into this season of football, once this deal gets done, is going to be, and even if it doesn't get done, then you could argue, okay, there's still a lot of pressure on him because now you got to go prove it that you're worth it, and the team's even doubting you. I do think the deal's going to get done, and once that deal gets done, I think he's the quarterback in football this year with the most pressure on him.
I think depending on what the money is, you're right. It's hard to argue with that, but there's
Let me ask you a question. You do think that per year it's going to start with a 5, right? Not that you're saying you think he's worth it necessarily, but when Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa are making $55 and $53 million a year, and I understand Trevor was a first overall pick of the draft, and Tua Tagovailoa was the fifth overall pick of the draft to the Miami Dolphins, because I think Herbert went 6. And Brock was Mr. Irrelevant, but how can you, if you're Brock Purdy, take a deal that's less, and don't give me because you want to keep other pieces and blah, blah. I'm just talking about a selfish motivation that is less than what Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa make a year, which is 55 and 53.
Yeah, no, I mean, and especially we heard John Lynch talk about it. They let a lot of guys go, like big, important players to their defense.
They paved the way for this deal already. Huh? They paved the way for this deal already.
So I think the plan is that's what they're going to give him. So, yeah, I think it's going to start with the 5, and I think it's going to be a mistake. I like Brock Purdy, but there's like 5 quarterbacks that can like put a team on their back and do it. And the 49ers are emptying the cupboards a little bit, and so the talent's not going to be around him. And I don't know if Brock Purdy can put a team on his back and carry them, especially depending, we don't know how McCaffrey's going to go. So, yeah, it makes sense he's going to be under the most pressure with a 5 in front of that number, 50 million, 52 million. There's a lot of guys with pressure, but when you get that kind of contract, I can't see anybody else who has more pressure. I mean, you got Kyler Murray. He's going to be playing for his job in a sense.
But I don't know if there's like a real belief if Kyler Murray is going to be the guy.
If you're in Arizona, there's finding out whether or not he's going to be the guy.
I think more people are out than in on Kyler Murray now.
Sure, but I think the franchise is kind of stuck with him, and it's a matter of whether or not they can find a way to make it work with him.
And you could say, hey, there's pressure on Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson to get over the hump and win it all, but we all know those are elite quarterbacks already in the NFL.
Justin Herbert after the playoff performance, CJ Stroud to make sure that he wasn't really a one-hit wonder. There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but Stroud's accomplished a lot the last 2 years.
For sure. But, I mean, we all agree he either plateaued or took a half a step back last year. Not the step forward that we thought he was going to take, at least.
Yeah, and you know what? Now looking back at that, there clearly was a problem with the play caller. Also, the offensive line stunk, and you had injuries at the wide receiver. So I'm not saying like CJ Stroud played great this year. I was disappointed with how he was at the end of the year, but I don't know how many quarterbacks could have really done that much better in that situation that he was in. I would say in terms of pressure, I think there's pressure on Jared Goff to win it all. And if he doesn't play better in the postseason, then people will start to regret that contract. There's going to be an enormous amount of pressure on J.J. McCarthy in his first year as a starter. There's pressure on Caleb Williams, I would say, going into this year. But none of that pressure for me eclipse really the pressure. And Herbert's a good one. But I think people still believe in Herbert. There's pressure on Anthony Richardson, but no one actually believes that he's going to keep that job long term. There's pressure on Trevor Lawrence. This is now another new coach. I would look at this and I would say, yeah, it is clear once this deal gets given out that Purdy's the quarterback under the most pressure in football, because I think everyone looks at Brock Purdy and they say, all right, like he could be good. Like he's solid. He wins, right? He's a good quarterback in this league. But this time last year, how are we talking about Brock Purdy? Top 10 quarterback, right? Like 9 or 10 in the league. And there was a disrespect. Like people thought Brock Purdy was getting disrespected then. No one's going into this season saying Brock Purdy's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. No one is. So he's going to get paid like he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He needs to play like he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And where it was from 2 years ago to where it is now is a different conversation. But ultimately, I do think they're going to pay him. Let's listen up, though, because this is what I like to hear. Now, I just read the headline. I did not want to listen to it and see if the headline matched up with the quote until we got on the air. But if this goes the way that it's getting portrayed on the internet, I love this for the sport, because it's a rivalry in division. You have a player saying things about another player as a host. I love that. And I like some honesty. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse, right? Yeah, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here. I almost had a Mraz moment there on the air. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse and just seeing what the headline is and not listening to the audio. This was Puka Nacua, one of my favorite players in the NFL, also may I add, on the Brock Purdy contract situation.
Brock Purdy, is he going to get a 5?
I don't think so.
Do you think he's going to go with a 4? It's going to start with a 4.
Yeah.
A high 4?
No. I think
mid 4.
Mid 4.
A 45?
I think so. I mean, I think
if he does that, that'd be smart for him and them.
Yeah. I mean, I think he seems like a smart guy. I think they have a chance to still be in their window. And I think if he goes for a 5, that the window closes.
Wow. Now, he's not wrong necessarily in what he said. I think a lot of people have made that point with Brock Purdy. But I'm just surprised that Puka Nacua said it. Once again, it was Games with Names podcast. That's, of course, Julian Edlin's podcast. Quarterbacks that make mid-4s. Oh, my God. Isn't this still the biggest bargain in sports? Patrick Mahomes makes $45 million a year. Kirk Cousins makes $45 million a year. Deshaun Watson makes $46 million a year. And Kyler Murray makes $46.1 million a year. I'd rather have Brock over Kyler, I'd rather Brock over Deshaun, I'd rather Brock over Kirk right now entering this season. I clearly would rather have Patrick Mahomes over Brock Purdy, hot take of the day. I would be surprised. That may be what they're offering him now. That's why you have this Mayoka report. But I would be surprised if that number doesn't start with the 5 and isn't in, I would say, more mid-5s. I think he's going to get like $54, $55 million a year. Now, you could say he's not worth it. I'm not saying that I feel comfortable about it, but that's what I ultimately think that he will get. Here was Joe Montana. You may have heard of him. The legendary Joe Montana, the second greatest quarterback of all time. He was on our show at the Super Bowl, and I asked him straight up, hey, Joe, should the 49ers pay Brock Purdy? What should they do with him? This is what Joe said.
Brock Purdy, right, was in this game last year. This year had some ups and downs, right? Expecting a big contract this offseason. Your belief level in Brock Purdy is where at?
Oh, it's high. You got to pay him. And I say the sooner you get him paid, you get rid of a bunch of crap that keeps getting written and talked about that shouldn't be talked about. Everybody has ups and down years. I can show you a handful of quarterbacks that are making a crap load of money that haven't done anywhere near or produced anywhere near what Purdy has done. And so I say you pay him and get it behind you as fast as you can.
So, Samter, it'd be one thing if, right, like let's say your organization, the Jets, let's say they had a Brock Purdy type of situation. It'd be one thing if Joe Namath came out, right, who, right, is won a Super Bowl 3, all that stuff to guarantee. It'd be one thing if he came out at his older age and said, hey, they should pay whatever the equivalent would be with Brock Purdy and the Jets. I don't know how much that's going to influence the front office, if I'm just being honest. Like, if Chad Pennington said something, if Mark Sanchez said something, that wouldn't influence the front office. When you have Joe Montana saying that, and you also had Steve Young say something very similar where he's told me Brock Purdy has the force, it's like Star Wars, and he believes in Brock Purdy. Not only are those two all-time great quarterbacks, they're two of your own legends that are still revered and loved by the fan base. Like, doesn't that make it even tougher? Especially with those two names, to then not give this guy the contract when they have both given the endorsement to Brock Purdy.
Sure, but if you're John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, you can't make your decision or you can't let Joe Montana and Steve Young influence. It definitely applies public pressure. Now fans might get on it, and maybe just it kind of brings it to that level. But if you're John Lynch and you're Kyle Shanahan, you do what you think is best, no matter what other people are saying about it.
I'm also curious. The Niners at 11, because this was an anomaly year for them. Will they move up in the draft from 11? I'm not saying to take a quarterback, Mike. Wouldn't that be crazy if they end up taking a quarterback?
No, they can't.
If they move up and they go, oh, we're not paying Brock Purdy. We see shedeur. We like shedeur. We're going to reset the time frame and we're going to go shedeur. They're not going to do that because I got to think that they clearly like Brock Purdy enough. Remember, they moved mountains to get Trey Lance. They give up on Trey Lance before Trey Lance can even have a sip of coffee in the NFL. So I do think they're going to pay Brock Purdy, but with what you gave away, I think the Niners either have to keep the pick at 11 and take like a Will Johnson, or if a Jalen Walker falls, or if it's Michael Williams, or whoever. It could be potentially the kid from Marshall too. Maybe they go offensive lineman. And that's a possibility. But it wouldn't shock me if the Niners see a player that was maybe supposed to go like in the top 5 or 6 or 7. It just starts to fall a little bit. And they go, all right, let's give up like a future pick to get up to 11-8 to the Panthers to go get that guy. And then you could pay Purdy, and you could also get a bigger name as well, even though a big name is still available at 11. The Niners are a team to watch on the draft night. Not necessarily, they're going to take a quarterback, but can they get a stud player that can make an immediate impact with a team that still has a window? And we don't know how long that window is going to stay open. But I said this before, I'll say it again. I think the Niners are a lot closer to missing the playoffs this year than they are to going back to the Super Bowl. Ultimately, I think they'll be a wild card team, but I think they are a lot closer to missing the playoffs than they are to going back to the Super Bowl. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. What would you do with Brock Purdy? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We come on back with a news brief.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
It's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us the question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show and we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is an interesting one. Oh, wait. Samter. What we talked about earlier, the Coach Prime cut. Did you pull that? So we have that in the system? Okay.
That's cut number 2.
Oh, that's cut number 2. Sorry, I read cut number 3, which says the slug line decision to stay at Colorado. So let me play you that one first, and we'll then eventually play you the other cut, and you will understand why I was a little startled there when I looked down at the sheet and I was about to toss to it, and I was like, oh, that's not the one that I thought we were going to. But this was Coach Prime, friend of the radio program, does follow me on the good old cesspool of Twitter. This is Coach Prime on his decision to stay at Colorado.
I told you I wasn't going nowhere. I don't know why y'all didn't believe me. I cried to you before I lied to you. I love it here. I adore it here. I wanted to get some things done before I was able to do what we did long term. Resorts, collectives, NIL stuff, a few of the coaches as well, and we got them taken care of. So then I came in and got mine done. I don't like talking about me and talking about money, man. I've never been one to do that.
I'd cry to you before I lied to you. Well, we may be talking about a lie from Coach Prime in just a second, but before we do that, I don't know, Samter. Him basically saying, I'd cry to you before I lied to you. Originally, his energy was, I'm not leaving, I'm not going to the NFL. But there was a 2 to 3 week stretch, and maybe it was just negotiation, so that's how you could kind of justify it, where he did say he'd be interested in the NFL if he could only coach his sons, right? That's shedeur and also Shiloh. So for him to sit up there, Samter, and be like, yeah, I cried to you before I lied to you. I told you I was never going anywhere. Hey, Coach, Zach Gelb here from the Infinity Sports Network, even though I'm a big fan. Was there like a 2-3 week stretch where you considered the NFL? Like, that's the part to me where I thought it was a little disingenuous there, Mike.
Yeah, but, I think the fact that he didn't go and maybe the idea of like, hey, I'm not going to leave for another program is kind of what he's inferring. But
and it's better for college that he's staying.
100%. And honestly,
I think it's better for us to talk about Coach Prime that he stayed in college.
There was a lot of smoke around the Deion stuff for the NFL, but it never seemed like Deion was reciprocating it. We heard all the stuff about Deion and the Raiders, but Deion didn't seem interested in the Raiders. We heard Deion and the Cowboys, but it seemed like it was Jerry reaching out to Deion and Deion saying, I'm not interested. So it didn't seem like he was really pursuing it. It was more like people coming to him.
I think he used those rumors to get what he wanted out of Colorado.
For sure.
And I've also said this from the jump. I don't think Deion to the NFL is really a serious storyline this offseason cycle. But the moment shedeur gets drafted, whichever coach is there, anytime that coach doesn't do good enough where people are going to say, hey, we're going to fire you and get rid of you, naturally that conversation will happen. Is Coach Prime going to leave Colorado to go to the NFL? Because the buyout, we went through the buyout when it first came out. If an NFL team really wanted, they could still get Coach Prime. All righty. So Coach Prime just said he would cry to you before he would lie to you, right? Has he cried yet? Because Samter came up to me before the show started, and he goes, have you heard of this Deion audio? And he goes, excuse me, Coach Prime must be respectful. And I said, no. I go, what's the audio? And he goes, you haven't heard this? I go, is it viral? And he goes, would you like me to play it for you on the air? And usually I would just say yes. But Samter looked so startled, and he looked like this was the craziest audio ever. I go, you know what? I got to be prepared for this one. And then I heard it, and I was like, there's no way that this could be true. So, this is via We Got Time podcast and Tubi TV? Is that how you say it? Tubi?
Tubi.
Teletubby TV? This is Coach Prime just giving this information. Go ahead.
No, I don't do that.
What be in your head, since you don't watch it? What be in your head when you pleasure yourself?
I don't pleasure myself. I've never in my life pleasured.
In your life.
Never in my life.
All your life.
God is my witness.
I'm so confused. I'm keeping figure out to strike you down. You got to strike you down.
Hey, I'm telling you.
No.
I'm telling you the truth.
Why do I really believe them?
Okay, now see, my next statement don't sound arrogant.
What is it?
I never had.
Oh.
Hey, there you go. Never had to.
You could be the biggest sex symbol in the world. Everyone has done that to themselves. All right? I'm just not trying to become a drop now that will live for eternity with our board, especially with our savvy board ops that we always have that have become drop savages. But Coach Prime saying he's never had to. Like, when you were 13, was there just like a flock of women around you? If I'm just being honest. Probably not, right? So that is very unbelievable. On a scale of 1 to BS, Botcher, where do you think the BS is here? 1, that you actually believe Coach Prime that he's never pleasured himself, or 10, that you're like, yeah, that's cap, as the kids would say.
9.5.
That's it? Okay. Samter?
There's a lot of people. I'm torn here because there are a lot of people who are just liars. And then there are people who lie about some things. And then there are people who I just implicitly trust. Whether they say ridiculous things or not, they're trustworthy. Deion is trustworthy.
I know, but this would be like me saying, I've never, have breathed fresh air.
Doing that deed and not breathing are two completely... good for you.
Even if you're not doing that right now, and you're having like a copious amount of nookie time each and every night, as Santa almost just spilled his drink, which would have been a very funny moment right there. You're telling me when you first had the ability to do that, you've never done that? Like he said, never in his life.
Also, he's Deion. He was probably getting the ladies as early as you could want to get the ladies.
You're 12 and you're 13. Please.
He was a 2-sport star.
Stop.
Good-looking
Stop.
guy.
All right, give me the number here.
A number what? Of percentage?
No, 1 that you believe him. 10 that you have no belief in him whatsoever in this.
3.
Oh my! You actually believe him? Mine's at a 900. I love Deion. This is infinity. There's no chance. I'll say there's no chance he's never pleasured himself. Impossible. Alrighty, we'll keep this conversation moving. Let's go to Fran Brown, Orange Nation, Q Sports Talk. Funny comment about the transfer portal.
Man, my son might go in the portal a bit, the way this lies. But you gotta, it's a lot that these kids deal with. So when they see 3 other dudes go in, they start getting more heart. And now they can do it, right? Because a lot of them ain't have the heart to do it, and they feel they could do it. So like Easter coming up, I wouldn't be surprised Friday if all over the country, because now they ain't got to see the coach's face and go sit in front of him like a man and tell him if they would do it, right? So, man, you're going to get this going up. We got another week. I would say we're going to at least get 10 kids probably to go in.
Let's go to Matt Ishbia. He had a press conference yesterday. He had a bold statement in his end of the year press conference.
There's always going to be ups and downs in any business. Of course, I would love to win a championship my first 2 years as an owner. I promise you but it didn't happen. But I promise you we will. We will win championships with an S at the end here in Phoenix, and I'm going to be here for it with you guys, and we'll have a more fun press conference then.
For some reason, when he just said it didn't happen, I wanted to just merge that over the Coach Prime audio from what Coach Prime was just saying never happened before. Like, come on, Coach Prime. You were like 7th grade, 8th grade, and you were home alone. That wasn't happening. Please. Here is John Spytek. Imagine if you just missed the last 10 minutes of the conversation. You just got into the car. Like, what the heck is Zach talking about? Here is John Spytek doing a pre-draft press conference with Pete Carroll, and Ashton Genty came up.
Genty, you talked about in that top 10 by pretty much everybody who's put together mock drafts. What do you think about him in particular makes him so special to where he might be careful one of those picks?
I'm going to be careful about talking about any specific player, but more broadly to the running back question, I mean, we just saw Saquon Barkley just change the Eagles in one year. Now they had a great team around them, and I don't try to devalue any certain position. I mean, I don't know where we got to a place where we don't feel like running backs are valued. I come from the University of Michigan to my core, and those guys were certainly really valued there. So it's hard for me to get away from that.
Pete Carroll, you could barely hear it, but he's like, be careful. He's basically telling John Spytek, don't do anything here that prevents us from getting Ashton Genty, because we want to take Ashton Genty, I think, with the 6th overall pick. All righty, we will take a break. When we come on back, we will give you how I believe the first 10 picks of the draft not will go, but should go. If I was the GM for those 10 teams in the top 10, update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, Spurs head coach Greg Popovich reportedly had a scare on Tuesday night. TMZ reports the 76-year-old fainted while having dinner at a restaurant, but was alert and talking by the time paramedics put him in an ambulance. The Hall of Famer recovering from his stroke in November, and according to reports from ESPN, he is home and doing fine. The NBA playoff matchups will be set tonight after the 8th seeds were finalized, with the Hawks hosting the Heat. Home court appears to be an important factor that this evening is in each of the 4 regular season games, the home team won, and by double figures. Of course, Trae Young missed the end of the Hawks' loss earlier in the week after getting injected with a pair of technicals, and the All-Star guarantees it won't be a problem tonight.
I'm not going to let the rest frustrate me like that in our next game. I know we got a winner go home next, so I'm going to be ready, and I told the team I'm going to be ready for them. We got to go home and take care of business.
The winner will get the Cavaliers in the first round. Out west, the Grizzlies host the Mavericks. Dallas still standing despite the unpopular trade of Luka Doncic and the season-ending injury to Kyrie Irving. Tonight's winner will meet the Thunder. Ja Morant is a game-time decision due to an ankle injury. At Wrigley this afternoon, the Cubs, on an Ian Happ grand slam, lead the Diamondbacks by a score of 7-1. Top of the 8th. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Oh, yes, that's me. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This NFL Draft Preview is sponsored by Ego, tools that deliver or exceed the power and performance of gas without the noise, fuss, and fumes. For any outdoor challenge, count on Ego. Tools to deliver the power, performance, and innovation you need. Ego, power beyond belief. Today, the NFL updated the list of players attending the draft in Green Bay. I know Bart Winkler is going to be in Green Bay for the draft, but he's not a player. Notably so, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss has opted out of attending, despite originally being on the list of attendees. In addition, defensive end Michael Williams will also not be at the NFL draft, but cornerback Maxwell Hairston will be headed to Green Bay with the Cheeseheads. Who wrote this, by the way?
I did.
You did? Can I ask you a question? What the heck was the font that you used?
Good question.
I'm trying to read this, and every third letter, the font is different, and then there's like a capital letter and a lower and one letter's bigger than the other. What the heck is that? Was the toughest read I've ever had to do.
So what I did
was copy and paste the top part, right?
Attendees. I think I said attendees.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at it. I'm like, what the heck is this lettering?
So it's basically just Times New Roman, but every letter is capitalized. So the letters that are actually capitalized in this part are just bigger.
Now, Botcher, I'm one of your biggest advocates around here. I think the world of you. I call you like the Jimmy Neutron of sports radio. I have never had an issue with you. Never. I think you've been one of the quickest learners we've ever had here behind the scenes at the history of the network. And you are well liked. Samter likes you. All right? That's like a big thing if Samter likes you. I don't know if Samter's told you that, but he's told me I like Botcher. I've been in meetings with Samter and our bosses. Hey, when Stu is out, he goes, I love working with Botcher, right? This was like throwing a pick six on the 2-yard line when you're about to go score a touchdown.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of like the font.
Well, I don't.
Noted. Times New Roman X.
It's a different form of Time New, how do you say that?
Times New Roman?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't say that. It's a different form of it. It has like made my brain not be able to function.
It's like one of those, when you cut up pieces of newspaper and like a ransom note. It's like that.
It looks like a crazy person wrote it. You're 100% right. Anyway, here's how I think the top 10 picks of the draft should go. Not will go. If I was running these teams, this is what I would do. Number 1 pick of the draft, Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans. Number 2 pick of the draft, if I was Andrew Berry, I would take Shedeur Sanders. The 3rd pick of the draft, Giants, with both quarterbacks off the board, and I'm not all that hot on Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe and these other quarterbacks people think could go in the first round. I would say go get a 2-way playmaker in Travis Hunter. Patriots, Abdul Carter. Jaguars, Mason Graham. Raiders, Ashton Genty. That's how I think the first 6 picks of the draft should go, not necessarily how they will go. Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. Browns with Shedeur Sanders. The New York Football Giants taking Travis Hunter. The New England Patriots taking Abdul Carter. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Mason Graham. And the Las Vegas Raiders going Ashton Genty. Then with the 7th overall pick, I think the Jets should take Tyler Warren. Now, I don't believe Justin Fields is going to be great, but there is still an opportunity for him to salvage his career. So if I'm the Jets and your offensive line is still a question mark, even though you drafted Fashanu out of Penn State last year, and we'll see what he could do with a bigger role this year. You have Garrett Wilson, you have Breece Hall. I think you need a little bit more oomph to that offense. And that's why I would take Tyler Warren. You get 3 really good playmakers for Justin Fields to either be able to swim or he's going to sink. The Panthers in at 8. I think they would like one of these guys that I previously mentioned to fall. I don't think one of those guys are going to fall. So then I think that they should draft Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Now, the Saints need a lot. I could argue then them potentially drafting Will Johnson here out of Michigan, who I don't think is getting talked about enough in this draft process. And last year was projected to be a top 5 pick, now projected outside of the top 10. If I'm the Saints, I would actually trade back a few spots. You get some more draft capital. And if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm moving up into the top 10. I'm going to number 9. And I'm going to get another wide receiver. I think you need another piece to that offense to complement CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott is a fine quarterback, a good quarterback. Not very good, not great. He's good. And I would go draft McMillan out of Arizona. That's what I would do, the wide receiver out of Arizona. And then at number 10, the Bears, I'm going Alligator Arms and Will Campbell. So that's how I think the 10 picks, the first 10 picks of the draft should go. If I was running those organizations. Cam Ward to Tennessee, Cleveland Shedeur, Giants Travis Hunter, Patriots Abdul Carter, Mason Graham to Duval, Ashton Genty to the Raiders, the New York Jets taking Tyler Warren, the Carolina Panthers taking Jalen Walker, the Saints pulling off a trade with the Cowboys. Cowboys move up to 9. They get McMillan. And then the Bears, they end up beefing up their offensive line, which they've already done a good job in that this offseason. If you're the Bears, I've been saying this for now a month. You want Tyler Warren, you want Ashton Genty. I'd be surprised if Genty and Warren are both still on the board after 7, because I do think 6 and 7, those are 2 picks I feel confident in, with Genti going to the Raiders and Tyler Warren going to the Jets. And outside of Cam Ward, that could be, and maybe Travis Hunter potentially going 2 to the Browns. Those are some of the picks I feel most confident in. But I really do think that for the Bears, you would love a Genti, you would love a Warren, but you did a good job this offseason bringing in Drew Dahlman, bringing in Joe Tooney, bringing in Jackson, the offensive lineman. So you could have a luxury to go elsewhere. Even though you made moves on the offensive line and you revamped the offensive line, it doesn't mean you fixed it, right? We've heard the Bengals have revamped their offensive line. We've heard for years the Giants have revamped their offensive line. We've heard for years the Jets have revamped their offensive line. You can make changes to your offensive line, and it could still not be where it needs to be. So if you get arguably the best tackle, the best offensive lineman in the draft at 10, and you don't have that playmaker like a Genti or a Warren still on the board, that's what I have the Bears scooping up and going out there and getting Will Campbell. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You can always give us a call, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We have the Muppet photo of our show out there on the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. I will also put the Muppet photo on my Instagram, which is also at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. And we got one more hour to play on a Friday when we come on back. And we're going to start things up on a Friday in hour number 3 with a little onside, offside when we do return. That's a segment that we do each and every Monday and Friday on the show. So Samter has some questions for me. Hopefully I will have some answers for him when we come on back in 5 minutes, because we will kick off the 3rd hour of a Friday with a little onside, offside when the Zach Gelb Show continues across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course, as always, streaming live on YouTube after these short messages.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, rocking and rolling. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. I always love when you give a take and people are obsessed with the take. So Cleveland Sports Fan 41 on social media just tweeted me at Zach Gelb. I just refreshed my Twitter feed and I got distracted by this. I had a feeling, well, it actually says had, but I think he meant I had a feeling you would pick Carter to the Pats because you are a fan. Browns don't need a QB this year. They are going to take Carter or Hunter. Okay. Sometimes listening may actually help. I said this is what the Browns or this is what the top 10 of the draft should look like. Not will. This is if I was doing this, this is what I would do. If you have listened to me, which obviously you have, that you feel such a need to tweet it on out there and get all angry. I've been saying now for the last 2 weeks, I believe Travis Hunter will go to the Browns. That's if I was running the teams, this is what I would do, to be clear. And any Brown fan, Cleveland Browns fan, that thinks they have a leg to stand on and they can lift up their nose and say, we don't need a quarterback this year. Really? You're starting Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett. But no. Oh, how dare Zach Gelb say that the Cleveland Browns should draft Shedeur Sanders because we got Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. Come on. What are we doing? You may not want them to take a quarterback, but you can't tell me the Browns don't need a quarterback. You've needed a quarterback, I don't know, for the last 20 years. Other reaction on social media. Eric Garcia says, Texans fan here, but I think Purdy should be signed somewhere in the middle of $48 to $54 million a year. Great story. He'll have to prove himself either way. Take the money and run and go win in San Francisco. So since I'm not great at math, 54 plus 48 divided by 2, that would be $51 million a year. I think it's going to be, that's close. I think he's going to get $53 to $55 million a year. I do. I'm not saying he's worth it, but that's what I think he's going to get. So appreciate the tweet there, Eric Garcia. Good tweet at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB on Twitter. All righty, we got a little onside offside to get to. We do this every Monday and Friday on the show. Botcher, hit it.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
Alrighty. And also, I love that tweet too. Oh, you're a Patriots fan. That's why you haven't taken out Bill Carter. You know how many times I praise my team and my team's great and then shred my team and my team is bad? I'm not sitting here going, oh, this is what should happen, and let me concoct this take just to get, potentially the Patriots to have this happen. Like, it's just a stupid tweet. Really dumb. But everyone's entitled to some dumb tweets. You know what? Not for nothing. The header photo is of Ohio Stadium. So it is an Ohio State Buckeye. So now I understand kind of this tweet. Go blue, baby. All righty. What do we got cooking here, Samter?
Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers, joined his buddy Pat McAfee, and among other things, ripped my Jets and new head coach Aaron Glenn for calling a meeting with him, having him fly across country, and then informing him they were moving on right away.
I wasn't surprised that they wanted to move on, but why would you not pick my brain? I'm there to talk to you about the team and about things that I think can get better and things that are good and players that have leadership possibilities and anything. I mean, I've been in the league 20 years. Any type of conversation, there was none. There was none. That was strange.
Now, however, Jets fans are coming out of the woodworks in droves to praise Glenn and his no-nonsense attitude towards Rodgers.
Before you ask me the question.
Okay.
Was this a real image that I saw? It was an old Aaron Rodgers tweet. But was that real? Has that been verified?
I believe it has been. I've seen Sports Illustrated write it up. And I've seen...
You say write it up or read it up?
Write it up.
Oh,
write up the story.
Gotcha. I thought you said read it up.
No, I'm seeing a variety of different legitimate places putting it out there.
Do you have the tweet in front of you?
I do. This is from April 14th, 2013, where Aaron Rodgers tweeted out, "Meeting in person is greater than a phone call. Always."
He's full of sushi. I thought I was going to get Botcher to freak out there if I said full of... Maybe I thought he was going to be hovering over that dump button because he comes from the school of Pete Bellotti. Bellotti has the quickest trigger on that dump button. No doubt about it. Yeah, that's why I said this the other day. Because remember when...
Well, I didn't ask the question yet.
Well, no. I'm not even answering the question yet. But Rodgers is just so full of bleep on this because... If, let's just say the Jets called him, first off, right, he has the worst cell phone connection service in the world. That was going back to the Packers divorce. Then he would have said, I can't believe they only called me. Then, if they would have flown him in, or he, paid his own money, he said, to get there, and they made him sit there for 5 to 6 hours, then it would have been, they made me sit there for 5 to 6 hours to pick my brain, just say they're going to let me go. There was no winning here for the Jets here. They made a decision they wanted to move on, and that's the way that they had the cookie crumble. But anyway, Samter, continue asking me the question.
So those cookies taste delicious for Aaron Glenn, apparently. But onside, offside, after hearing the story, you actually believe in Aaron Glenn more than you did before.
Absolutely not. Offside. Can I just be honest here? It's the most sophomore take I've ever heard from Jet fans yesterday. That's my coach! He showed him who's boss! Oh, Aaron Glenn! He put his foot down on Aaron Rodgers! Give me a break. I don't care how they divorced. I don't care if he sat there for 6 hours and picked his brain, or he walked in and he said, Aaron, you're gone. It doesn't matter to me. Can you win football games? That's what it's going to come down to. All the other stuff is a sideshow. So after hearing this story, you believe in Aaron Glenn more than before? No, my belief level's the same. I don't know how he's going to transition into a head coach. He's a tremendous defensive coordinator, right? Former player, former executive. Players seem to like him. I thought a lot of similar things, minus the executive part, was said about Robert Saleh when he got the job a few years ago. How'd that work? So, no, this doesn't change my belief level in Aaron Glenn. Offside.
Offside! As a Jet fan, I love it.
Of course, because you guys take the bait of anything. Because you guys can't win on the field, so then you have to be like, oh, we won this offseason. Oh, our head coach, he showed our old quarterback who's boss. Oh, gee golly.
It's not just about showing him who's boss. It's about taking back ownership of the team and having accountability. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any of that. He's always... He points the finger, but the way he says it makes it sound like he's not blaming anybody, but he's always blaming everybody. And it's finally nice to have a coach who had a spine, a backbone, and he's willing to stand up to Rodgers, fly him out, have him fly out and say, screw it, get out of here. We don't even want you anymore.
Now, I didn't really listen to what you just said. Because now...
Thanks.
Well, no, it's nothing to do with what you just did. I'm distracted by this guy, Cleveland sports fan 41, who's now tweeting me again. He goes, Zach, Flacco took the Browns to the damn playoffs. I swear some of you don't follow the entire league and just your fan base. You are a Pats fan. You did this with being a Pats fan. I'm not stupid, but hey, it's your way or the highway. It's your show. Okay. I was the same talk show host that also said that the Browns should have brought back Joe Flacco last year. The Browns didn't do that because they were afraid of Deshaun Watson. Also, since I follow the league, Joe Flacco, yes, took the Browns to the playoffs 2 years ago. It was awesome. Joe Flacco was even on this show saying he doesn't want the comeback player of the year. I actually talked to Joe Flacco 2 weeks ago. All right? With that being said, though, Joe Flacco last year, when given an opportunity to go play with the Colts, did not play all that well. So now he's another year older. Is he better than what you had last year? Yes. But that doesn't mean you still shouldn't draft a quarterback at 2. I once again think you are drafting Travis Hunter. However, if I was Andrew Berry, I would draft Shedeur Sanders because either you have a quarterback or you don't in this league. Cleveland hasn't had a quarterback in forever. So therefore, I would take the quarterback, and even if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. You've got 9,000 quarterbacks wrong. There's even an image out there on how many quarterbacks you got it wrong. You could say a lot of things about me. When it comes to football, you can't say I don't follow the league. I make national news a lot about football. And also, I don't know, I basically did Red Zone on the radio for years, where I had my eye on football for every game. So don't tell me I don't watch football. Please. And don't tell me, because I'm a Patriot fan, that gets involved in my analysis. I think Abdul Carter's the best player in the draft. But in terms of fit, I still think it should be Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, Travis Hunter 3, then Abdul Carter 4. Alrighty? I don't think it's that tough to understand. And also, some people think I'm a Browns fan. This is the irony of this, because I get on the air and I go, here we go, Brownies, here we go. I like Cleveland. But come on, don't act like the Browns don't need a long-term quarterback. Even if you love Joe Flacco's old. And Kenny Pickett, I don't think he's going to be the starter in Cleveland. So
Joe Flacco?
That's it. What the heck was that? Oh, is
Joe
that the
Flacco?
Ravens guy? The crazy Ravens fan
That's
guy?
Scott Van Pelt.
That's
Scott Van Pelt.
Go ahead.
Joe Flacco?
I think he's imitating the crazy Ravens fan, though. That guy. I love that guy. And you know what? Cleveland Sports Fan 41. Shake hands. We're good on Twitter. I'm just going to respond to here. I'm not going to respond on Twitter. And I appreciate you listening to the show. But, like, you thinking I did this mock draft just to get Abdul Carter fall 4th. I don't think he's going to fall 4th. This is not what will happen, what I think should happen. All righty. I don't need to distract the listening audience with any more of my problems on social media. We go to the next question.
All right, so 12 minutes into the segment. Let's get to number 2 here on Onside Offside.
Sorry, I'm in a mood on a Friday. Sometimes I'll drop fisticuffs with people. We punch each other, we slug it out, and then we hug each other. It's all good.
All right, now I know how much you love the play-in game.
I despise it.
Well, tonight
it's the biggest waste of time in sports.
I don't know about that, but I'll go with the under on that one. Tonight we get the final 2 NBA play-in games with the winner of Heat Hawks and Mavs Grizzlies securing the 8th seed in their respective conferences. The winner, of course, will face the 1 seeds in their conference, meaning the Cavs in the East and the Thunder in the West. So onside, offside. The winner of Hawks Heat has a better shot to beat the number 1 Cavs than the winner of Mavs Grizz has to beating the Thunder?
Hawks, Heat, Mavericks, Grizzlies. Who's the best team out of those 4? It's the Grizzlies. So even though, let me be clear, because then someone's going to tweet me, oh, you think the 8th seed's going to win? What are you, an idiot? I would say out of those teams, the Grizzlies have the best chance to defeat the Thunder. I don't think the Hawks or the Heat could defeat the Cavs. I don't think either, hot take of the day, the Cavs or the Thunder are going to lose in the first round. So the winner of Hawks Heat has a better shot to beat the number 1 Cavs than the winner of Mavs Grizzlies has in beating the Thunder. I'm going to go offsides because I think the Grizzlies are the best team there. Best
Offside. All right, now we're going to hear from a few different voices here. Now, Matt Ishbia has been the Suns owner since 2023. Ishbia has been the Suns owner since 2023, but has fired 3 coaches over the past 23 months since taking over. This week, Stephen A. Smith went off on Ishbia, calling him the worst owner in sports and liking him to Donald Sterling.
Matt Ishbia needs to understand that right now you are on the verge of being recognized as the worst owner in the history of basketball. That's saying a lot. Donald Sterling once owned an NBA franchise. James Dolan, until he recently hired Leon Rose, was on that trajectory. That's the trajectory, if you're Matt Ishbia, that you are on right now, being recognized as arguably the worst owner in the history of basketball.
Well, Ishbia did his end-of-year presser this week or yesterday and responded to Stephen A's comments.
Stephen A. Smith, I don't take much he says seriously, I don't think many people do, to be honest with you. With that being said, I don't really think Stephen A. believes what he said. I think, he's doing his thing, he's on the mic, and he's doing what he's and I think he'll apologize to me because I think it's disrespectful to put my name and aligned with anybody that was kicked out of the league or no longer part. We had high expectations and we didn't win. We spent a lot of money and we didn't win. Yep. Be critical of me on that, but to even say that kind of stuff, like I said, that's just, I think, like I said, he'll apologize. I think he was out of line.
Now today, Stephen A. agreed and apologized for making that comparison.
Matt Ishbia is absolutely right. I do owe him an apology because I mentioned Donald Sterling. I thought I was making it clear I was talking about basketball. I certainly did not mean to compare him to a person that was thrown out of this league and has been widely recognized as a racist. I was not talking about that Donald Sterling. I was talking about the Donald Sterling that would be sitting courtside, heckling his own damn players and never winning anything and didn't give a damn. That's the Donald Sterling that I was talking about in terms of how ineffective he was. Unfortunately for you, sir, that's the only thing I'm wrong about. And that's the only apology that you're getting from me.
Yikes. Onside, offside. Matt Ishbia is the worst owner in the NBA right now.
How do you think I'm going to answer this?
You are going to say no. I'm going to say you're going to go offside because there's one guy who everyone thinks is the worst owner in sports.
In the NBA, you're saying?
Maybe in all of sports.
What team do you think that is?
Locally here in New York.
Oh, no. No. Not with what's happening right now.
What's happening right now is he got lucky. He hired the right guy in Leon Rose, and Leon Rose has made the right moves.
You can't say that he got lucky. Leon Rose was an agent. That was a risk. I think the worst ownership group right now in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks.
Nah.
You had a generational player. You had a top 5 player in the league, and you traded him for basically a bag of peanuts. All right? So Matt Ishbia has been dog crap, don't get me wrong. But the Mavericks ownership group, they allowed their GM and signed off on their GM getting rid of Luka Doncic. So Matt Ishbia is the worst owner in the NBA right now. I will go offside.
Offside.
I don't have any issues with Dolan right now. I wish that he would let our network get a credential here and there. But outside, I'm not saying I think James Dolan is the greatest human being in the world, but I think he has gotten out of the way with the Knicks, and he's let Leon Rose do his thing. And as long as he continues to do that, I think he kind of stays out of mind. He's out of mind right now.
I'll always hate him because he's the guy who spearheaded the blocking of the Jets getting a Manhattan Stadium. So I'm always going to hate him for that.
And then you blocked the Jets out of your mind for 2 years and joined another team. And
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never left the Jets. I've never talked about any other team. I've never promised to put a tattoo of another team on my body. None of it. Now, one of my other favorite teams, the Yankees, Jazz Chisholm was ejected from yesterday's win after arguing a questionable called third strike. Once he left the game, Chisholm went to the locker room and tweeted out, "Not even close," with multiple exclamation points, before immediately deleting the post. Now, Jazz could be in trouble as MLB rules say players cannot use electronic devices during games, even if they've been ejected. And a second policy says players cannot call out umpires in social media either. So onside, offside. Chisholm should be suspended for his ejection and subsequent breaking of multiple rules.
So what is he exactly doing?
So he tweeted out a critique of an umpire after being ejected, which you're not allowed to critique umpires on social media.
But he was already ejected.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to critique umpires to begin with on social media, whether you're in the game or not. But secondarily, you can't use electronic devices during a game at all, even if you're not playing, or even if you were ejected from the game. If you were playing in that game, then you cannot use an electronic device while the game is going on. So
But he wasn't using it while he got before he got ejected. He just used it after he got ejected.
Correct.
Which is, you still can't use it right
Correct.
until the game's over.
Correct. So he broke 2 rules about phones and social media. Plus, he obviously got ejected for arguing with an umpire.
If you want to fine him, suspended for tweeting about an umpire after he got ejected, I don't know. That doesn't move the needle for me, so I'll go offside on that.
Offside.
I was a little confused there for a second.
All right. I'm sorry for confusing.
No, it wasn't anything you did. I'm like sitting there. I go like, what's the infraction? You know.
Yeah. Well, yours and Mr. Reiter's favorite player, LeBron, and the Lakers are prepping for the playoffs as a 3 seed. And Bronny was actually officially included on the 15-man postseason roster.
Ah, wonderful, of course.
Yeah. Now, LeBron's other son, Bryce, also took to social media yesterday to officially announce he's committing to the Arizona Wildcats next season rather than joining LeBron's former high school teammate Drew Joyce at Duquesne. So onside, offside, you believe we'll see Bronny, LeBron, and Bryce on an NBA court together sometime before LeBron retires.
So Bryce, his first year of college is next year? So he could be one and done? I do think LeBron is going to play 2 more seasons. I thought next year was actually going to be LeBron's next season. I don't know if I feel that way now. Yeah, I could see. I'm still going to go offside there because I remember a social media clip from Bryce where he was like, when someone once asked him this, he's like, how old do you think my dad can't play forever? So it's not that far away. But I'm going to go offside here just because of Bryce already dismissing it once. So I'll go offside there.
Offside. Now, your favorite and former coach, Bill Belichick, just landed a big fish in the transfer portal as former South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez chose UNC as his next school. Lopez was ranked 6th in the ESPN spring transfer window rankings and spurned SEC powerhouses like Georgia and LSU after throwing for 2,500 yards and 18 touchdowns while adding another 500 on the ground last year. Belichick has impacted recruiting in a big way for the Tar Heels, bringing in the 2025 class from outside the top 75 when Mac Brown was there, all the way up to number 41 for next year since taking over, including taking a 4-star recruit from Coach Prime, and currently ranks 12th for the 2026 class in all of college football. Onside, offside, you're surprised by how good Belichick has been at recruiting so far.
Is this a rhetorical question, Woodcock? I'm being serious. I feel like the only person that laughed at the notion that when you had all these nerds that would talk about Belichick, he's not going to recruit. Bill Belichick's not going to recruit. The dude's obsessed with football. I'm not I know Bill has been in high school gyms. I know people that are getting recruited by Bill Belichick. A friend of mine that coaches high school football in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's seen Belichick already. This idea that Bill wasn't going to be active on the recruiting trail is just lunacy to me. I never understood it. So am I surprised by how good Belichick has been at recruiting so far? That's going to be an offsides for me. So offsides. I'll tell you, though, I'm getting a little bit creeped out, though, about Bill's relationship with his 24-year-old girlfriend. that's starting to creep me out a little bit. The more and more I start to see these images of Bill and the 24-year-old and, some of the stretches that they're doing, I'm a little bit uncomfortable if I'm just being honest with the two of them right now. Bill's closing in on 75, somewhere around there, and he's dating a 24-year-old. Just don't look right if you ask me. Anyway, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. We'll come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
So we were talking a little bit the other day about Notre Dame and their quarterback situation when Nico Iamaleava hit the portal. And some people were speculating that it was going to be Notre Dame, but then people said Notre Dame was not going to pay Nico Iamaleava what he wanted, and then Notre Dame was out. And you know that Riley Leonard, who's scheduled to join us next week, by the way, he's off to the NFL draft. And you had Steve Angeli there. Well, he just entered the transfer portal as well. So Notre Dame's going to be a run-first football team next year. We know Jeremiah Love could be a Heisman Trophy potential candidate, and you do got Price there as well. But for quarterbacking-wise, it's going to be fascinating to see who they start. And I feel like the player with the most upside at Notre Dame at the quarterback room right now is C.J. Carr. And Angeli, who was there last year, got some burn last year right in their playoff run. He's someone that you thought would have been the starter. But I don't know if he would have held that job for the entirety of the season. So that's why I have to gather why he did enter this spring window of the transfer portal. Because clearly, C.J. Carr is far enough along in his development where Angeli thought, okay, I don't know if I'll be the guy at the end of the year. And I was reading, I apologize in advance, I forget which Notre Dame reporter it was, but it was on a podcast somewhere, and they were talking about C.J. Carr. They said Notre Dame hasn't had a quarterback in a while in terms of a quarterback that pops. Like, sure, you had Sam Hartman for a year. You know, Riley Leonard had limitations. He was there for a year. But you look at a guy like Jimmy Clausen, you look at a guy like Brady Quinn, right, that made national news and were considered to be really good players for many years. They think C.J. Carr can be that type of quarterback. So I'm looking at Notre Dame this year. What's my expectation for them? Even with after losing their quarterback in Riley Leonard, which, you know, is a loss, but I don't think it's the end of the world type of loss. And Notre Dame kind of has this playoff design as long as you only lose 2 games a year for you to get in. Now, when you lose to Northern Illinois in week 2 like they did last year, that's a little bit of a different ball game. You then can't afford to lose another game the rest of the season. They didn't, and they went to the playoff, and they all went all the way to the national championship game. And let's be real, they were getting blown out of that national championship game up against Ohio State. But if they just had better coverage on 3rd and 11, when, you know, I was sitting next to Hickey at that game, and I said to him, they're going to toss this ball deep. And Jeremiah Smith made that catch down the right sideline. If they just would have got off the field there, who knows what would have happened in that game. But optimism is now there with Notre Dame. I think people are back in on Marcus Freeman. They have a tough first 2 games of the season. You get Miami, and then you get Texas A&M. After that, you get Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, Boston College, Navy, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Stanford. So that's a good schedule. You know, you get Miami and A&M right out of the chute. You get an SEC team in week 4. You got Boise State, one of the better non-Power Power 4 now conference schools. You get USC, which is always a rivalry game. And then you end the season, you know, second to last week with Syracuse, who's an up-and-coming program now with Fran Brown at the helm. I look at that. Notre Dame, especially with how good of a player Love is, and if Carr could, you know, gets the job or eventually takes over midway through the season, if he could be the player people think he could be, that should be a team that two losses, you know, could they get a third one this year? Yeah, I guess it's a possibility. But if I'm a Notre Dame fan in a 12-team playoff format, it's designed for you to get in. So I think the expectation, not saying they will, but the expectation should be that they're back in the college football playoff. I think the Notre Dame quarterback competition is interesting, and I also think the Alabama one is too. Because I look at the Alabama quarterback room. it's not as if the projected starter is a monster name. Like, I was very disappointed with Jalen Milroe last year, especially with what he did. I think it was in week 4, towards the end of September, up against Georgia. I thought he was going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I thought he was going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist, especially after that performance that he had up against Georgia and how surgical he was in that first half. And even when the game got away, he had that 75-yard touchdown pass down the right sideline to Ryan Williams. But with Milroe now going to the NFL and Ty Simpson, he's the projected starter. When I heard Grubbs talk about the other day, he's like, oh, he's deserved that right for right now to be in the lead position and the pole position. I don't know if that was a great ringing endorsement. You know, Keelan Russell's the guy that's there. That is the freshman. That's the highly touted guy. I don't think it's a matter of if he's going to be the starting quarterback. I just think it's going to be when. And when will he be the starting quarterback? At some point this season. And Alabama is so fascinating because, hey, if Notre Dame misses the playoffs this year, is everyone out on Marcus Freeman after getting to the national championship game a year before? No. And I'm one of the biggest Kalen DeBoer fans on the radio. I've been a big Kalen DeBoer fan since he's been at Fresno State. But if you are Kalen DeBoer taking over for Nick Saban and you miss the playoff in year 1, it's not a 14-team format, it's a 12-team format, and then you miss it in year 2, that's going to be ugly. That's going to be ugly at Alabama. And I believe in DeBoer. I think DeBoer will ultimately win a national championship at Alabama, but there's going to be a big-time amount of pressure on him going into this college football season. All righty, we'll take a break. We'll come on back, and this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we do return, we'll get our Ask the Pros question also. We'll give you a little NBA playoff predictions with most of the first-round matchups set. We still got to figure out the 2 8 seeds that will be participating in this stupid, whoever prevails in this play-in tournament, which I don't like. But still, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to pick against the 1 seeds, whoever do get in there. So we will do a little NBA postseason predictions for the first round when we do come on back. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Now, Spurs head coach Greg Popovich is reportedly home and doing fine after having a medical emergency earlier this week. TMZ reported that paramedics were called to a restaurant after Popovich allegedly fainted. He was apparently alert and talking when put into an ambulance. The 8th seeds in the NBA playoffs will be determined tonight. Out west, it has been a battle all season long. And the Grizzlies, once seeded as high as 2nd in that conference, now just fighting to make it to the postseason. Dallas's plans fell off the wheels this year with Luka Doncic being traded, and Kyrie Irving suffering a season-ending knee injury. Not quite what Klay Thompson expected when he signed, but nonetheless, they have an opportunity they need to take advantage of.
We got a free swing. No one expects us to do much, so let's go out there and play for one another and just play free-minded. And that was really fun. And I know how hard it's going to be Friday. They're a really good team, and the West is so tough, man. So it's going to be a dogfight.
Ja Morant, a game-time decision with an ankle injury. The winner will face the Thunder next. The night begins in the East, where the Heat face the Hawks in Atlanta. The winner of that one will take on the Cavaliers. A wild one at Wrigley today, where the Cubs outlast the Diamondbacks 13-11. Arizona scored 10 in the top of the 8th, only to see Chicago rally with 6 in the bottom of the inning. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Let me tell you, Ryan Hot Take Hickey is now on my S list. He's on my bleep list. You want to know what this guy just did during the break? Comes up to me, goes, I got a bone to pick with you. And I'm sitting, I'm like, what the heck did I do? Here I am. I put him on the air more than anybody here at the network. I basically made Ryan Hot Take Hickey find the personality on the air, right? I brought out a ton out of Ryan Hot Take Hickey to turn him into the talk show host that he is today. And I take full accountability for those problems that I may have created. And I take full credit for it, too. So he comes up to me in the newsroom. He goes, You get on me all the time for the Colts and the participation trophy kind of mentality with the finalist banner that they had for making the AFC Championship game. He goes, you go after James Franklin all the time for never winning the big game, and you call them Participation State University. I go, okay. I go, like, tell me, like, get to the point here. Spit it out. Today, Junior. Let me know. And he goes, you defending Shedeur Sanders getting his jersey retired is despicable. I go, what's despicable about it? He was the most valuable player in the Colorado football team last year, and he turned Colorado, along with Travis Hunter and Coach Prime, from a relevant program to the last 2 years, one of the most talked about programs in college football. I go, what's the big deal? And yesterday I went off. I said there's a lot of fake outrage out there from talk show hosts who are running out of segments, so they have to just bitch about something. And I thought Ryan Hot Take Hickey was better than that. And now he has this fake outrage and he's bitching. Oh, my God. The fact that he was like TMZ. I'm in a break. I'm in the newsroom. I'm going to get a little sip of water, a little high-quality H2O, and he comes running up on me. I got a bone to pick with you. Like, at least burst through the studios like you're the Kool-Aid Man or something and do it on the air. Don't have a bone to pick with me in private over a take. Oh, my God. P.U. Disgusting. Grotesque. By the way, you can listen to Ryan Hot Take Hickey coming up next. He's filling in for JR in many of these same stations, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. How about Hickey Samter? I walk into the newsroom and he's like crying over a take that I had.
I agree with him.
On the take?
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, because you're another fake outrage guy. You know.
I mean, it's not outrage. It's just it shouldn't be happening.
Why?
It's nepotism.
Why? How is it? Stop! It's not nepotism.
Dion said it. If his name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't be having this conversation because he wouldn't be getting his number retared.
What? Let me ask you.
He's like the fifth best Colorado Buffaloes quarterback ever. Sixth best.
Name him.
Cordell Stewart.
Humana. I'm just saying.
He was 13-12. Oh my God. He finished 8th in the Heisman. He's getting his number retired. Cordell Stewart won 2 bowl games. Had one of the most epic Hail Marys of all time.
Stop. Do you listen at all when I speak? Because I said yesterday, just because other people didn't get their jersey retired doesn't make this right. Right? Doesn't make that right. But anyone having an actual problem with Shedeur Sanders, who made Colorado relevant and made him one of the most talked about teams in college football and played his ass off at Colorado behind no offensive line, and outside of Travis Hunter, you can't name a single person on the offense. That's what we're freaking out about? What's the big deal here? There's no big deal here. I'm not even wasting any more of my time on this because it's such a stupid conversation. Because I hear people go, oh, it's outrageous. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's a travesty. Why? When did Scott Farrell just come back to the studio? It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Zach, my friend, this is from Billy Flynn on Twitter. Oh, Billy, he took me to the Rangers game. This was not this season, last season. Sorry we didn't make it to a Rangers game this season. Oh, he used the Zach Gelb word. But the jackassery that is the Rangers will mercifully end tonight. So this was from yesterday, he sent this. What changes and moves do you see them making in the offseason? The Rangers are a disaster. They went from being 2 wins away from the Cup final last year to now not even making the playoffs. I think Kreider's going to get traded. I would love for them to go get Brady Tkachuk from the Ottawa Senators. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to bring in a new coach. I do not think that coach... I think the coach is probably going to be Messier. I don't think they're going to turn down Messier again. You know, Quinville, could it be him? Would they have a reunion with John Tortorella? I guess it's possible. But I just don't know how many times Messier keeps on expressing interest in the job that they're going to be able to tell him no. I will tell you, I would like to see in terms of the Stanley Cup final this year, I would like to see Dallas get there, and I would like to see Dallas go up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see a Pete DeBoer Stanley Cup final with the going up against Toronto Maple Leafs. If I said, okay, Dallas gets eliminated, picked another team I like to see the Oilers. I would. Anytime the Oilers get there, I don't think it's bad. The Jets are a heck of a team, obviously, with Hellebuck in net. And there's a lot of pressure on the Maple Leafs, and now they bring in Berube. And I guess if not the Maple Leafs, this pains me to say it, because my two least favorite hockey teams are the Penguins and the Capitals. I would like to see the Capitals get there because of the Ovechkin storyline. But I'm going to go with the Maple Leafs and the Dallas Stars to get to the Stanley Cup final. Okay, NBA prediction. Let's go through these first-round matchups, even though we don't know them all yet. Thunder and Cavs, it doesn't matter who they end up drawing in the first round. The Thunder and Cavs will both advance to round number 2. I think I'm going to surprise some people here with my next 2 picks. I love Nikola Jokic. That team, though, I don't like where they're at right now, though. And I don't like trusting James Harden in the postseason. Kawhi is healthy, though, now. With the change in the coaching position, I got a bad feeling about the Nuggets. I'm going to say the Clippers win that series. So I'm going to have the Clippers going up against the Thunder in round number 2. Lakers and Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves are a lot more alive than people think. But I'm going to go with Luka and I'm going to go with LeBron here. So I'll take the Lakers in what's going to be a very difficult and a very challenging series. Rockets and Warriors, I have the 7-seed Warriors upsetting the Rockets. So my conference semifinals will be the Thunder and the Clippers, and it will be the Warriors and the Lakers, which gives us a little Steph Curry, LeBron James action along with Jimmy Butler and Luka Doncic. All righty, Eastern Conference told you the Cavs will get through regardless of who they play as the 8. I know I'm Mr. Milwaukee, and I know I'm Mr. You got Bucks lust. We don't know when Damian Lillard's coming back, even though there's been encouraging reports since the blood clots. There's a lot of noise and a dark cloud hanging over the Bucks organization, and I usually don't give it merit about the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But Bill Reiter's brought it up. Brian Geltzeiler has brought it up. I'm going to say the Pacers beat the Bucks. The Knicks and the Pistons, I like the Knicks in 6. Cade Cunningham, though, could have a moment here, but I think the Knicks just have too much talent to go out in the first round. And then Celtics Magic, I'm going to take the Boston Celtics to win that series in a gentleman's sweep. I will have it being in 5 games. So that sets me up for the conference semifinals. Cavs and Pacers, Knicks and Celtics. So that's what I end up going with. But I'm fascinated by the Timberwolves, and I'm fascinated by the Clippers. Those are the 2 teams I almost don't even feel like the Warriors are an underdog, even though they're a 7. But those are the 2 teams in the West, the Clippers and the Timberwolves. I'm just very curious how their first rounds do go. And I do think the Clippers will defeat the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves, I think, will come up just short up against the Los Angeles Lakers. And in the East, I would say Pistons, Knicks, and Bucks Pacers are the 2 most intriguing first-round matchups. Cavs will beat whoever they end up playing. Celtics will end up beating the Magic. A lot of people are down on the Knicks entering the postseason because they don't beat any of these top teams. They didn't get a victory this year up against the Cavs. They didn't get a victory this year up against the Thunder. They didn't get a victory this year up against the Celtics. So they are playing the Pistons. A good story. And Cade Cunningham's going to be a very good player in this league for a very long time. I liked him when he was at Oklahoma State. But the Knicks with Cat, with OG, with Jalen Brunson, Mitchell Robinson. You know, you go through the entirety of the Knicks team. Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges, big postseason for him. A lot on the line there. I don't think he's getting enough talked about because everyone's talking about Tom Thibodeau potentially getting fired. I would look at that one just being interesting, but I do think the Knicks ultimately prevail. Pacers, Bucks, in a weird way, that's the series I'm not going to say I'm most excited about, but outside of Lakers and Timberwolves, I'm very intrigued by Pacers and Bucks because of the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I've sat here for years and I said, Giannis is getting traded. Stop with all this, blah, 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 blah. But with that being said, there is a lot more of some speculation about the future of Giannis. Because remember, They went in, they got Damian Lillard, and it hasn't worked so far. And you just had the Luka Doncic trade as well. Is that, you already seen Giannis win a championship in Milwaukee. Is this his offseason where maybe he tries to expedite that departure from the Bucks? I'm not saying it's happening. Just when Bill Reiter sits down and says that, and we had Brian Geltzeiler on the show, and you had two guys within the span of, a week and a half say it, I got to say there's some merit to it. Doesn't mean, hey, if you're listening to us in Milwaukee, you know how much I love you. It doesn't mean, hey, this is happening. But I think it's something you need to monitor. I think it's something you need to pay attention to. All righty, that will do it for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Appreciate Bill Reiter joining us in studio. This could be a mega NBA offseason. We know Durant's getting traded. If Giannis gets traded, then that just takes it to a different level. I don't think Nikola Jokic will demand a trade. I do not. Like, if you ask me, those three, who's most likely to get traded? Durant's clearly one. Then I would say Giannis is 2, and then Nikola Jokic is 3. So appreciate Bill Reiter for joining us. And he thinks KD to the Knicks is a real possibility. That's what he was saying. All right, Botcher, thank you. Samter, thank you. Each and every one of you tuning into the radio program, however you do it, across all of our affiliates or on SiriusXM or YouTube, we thank you as well. Have a wonderful weekend, and God willing, we'll be back on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. All righty, have a great weekend, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.